Okay, welcome everyone to the patch notes reaction video or podcast. I'm gonna introduce everyone. So with me we have Vision GL, who's part of the Maxroll team and takes care a lot of resources, guides, and news. We have Terek, or expert leveling in-house Frenchie, and we have Volka, endgame blaster and melee enjoyer. Minion hater, and me, Lizard, who am the team branch leader, and I'm gonna be hosting the podcast today. So welcome everyone. Hello.
Hello. What's up?
What's up?
What's up? You guys read the patch notes? Of course.
It was too much. I read for 2 hours and I couldn't finish them. So it's too many notes.
You were overwhelmed with the new information, of course.
Yes.
Overwhelmed. Yes. So, what are you guys most excited about? Huh? Volka?
I mean, the game is like completely different after this patch. So, like many things that were OP are still OP, but also many things are not. So they're like super nerfed. So I think it's gonna be an interesting new meta. For sure. So we need to see how it goes.
Allegedly, right? Allegedly.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Allegedly OP still. Right.
I think some of the big things for me are the Nemesis system. One of the key things that I would like to see more of in Last Epoch is just variation and like running campaign and monolith. So it's nice to kind of have something that is gonna make each map feel different. And then also the boss dynamic damage reduction change. I've complained so much about watching my damage numbers get squished that I'm excited to potentially build a bit more damage and kind of go ham on some of these bosses.
Are we gonna see one-shots or?
I mean, can you really like prevent them, you know?
Are we? I mean, the damage goes through the ward, right? So technically,
exactly.
mechanically possible. It's gonna be a matter of how tanky the bosses really are, right?
Yeah.
Any candidates that you guys that come to mind for one-shotting bosses?
I mean, you can just play like Shatter Strike, the classic.
But
maybe some minion stuff, like.
But what about one bonk to ruin them all? Like one bonk.
Yeah.
I wonder.
We have the judgment builds now that people played in the past.
Yeah, you could even use Event Horizon, get a lot of damage.
Yeah, the new weapon they teased now with the stacks.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting to see what people do with that.
Yeah.
In theory, the bonks can reach millions, right? With that, if you do the math. So we will see. We'll see how hard it is to get to, right? Because it might be that it's just so hard to get with LP and stuff that it's just not even worth it. Hopefully not, right? Hopefully it's worth to explore. But we'll see. All right, so we're gonna go over the patch notes a bit. I'll just scroll down a bit so we can go over topics that just come to mind and we can just talk about it. Yeah. So obviously, like Mr. Vision was mentioning, the boss ward stuff. How do I open this? Hello.
You click the links and it should take you there.
Yeah, I'm clicking.
Yeah,
refreshing. Okay, it works now. All right, so we were talking about the changes to boss DR and ward. And it's been extremely frustrating, right, in the past, and they're replacing it. What are your expectations? Because as far as we know, right, this is part of the entire game, including the campaign.
Yeah.
What are your expectations, Terek? As a
I have some worries about campaign because, like the old DR, you wouldn't proc it during the early phase of the campaign, so you wouldn't get penalized by it. So now that you have like basically like extra health bar, I don't know, like will be like.
That's an interesting topic, right? Because for those who don't know, who are listening, like boss DR was something that dynamically popped up depending on the damage you did, right? And the reality is that there was a lot of, like, let's just say average builds or builds that were more in the tanky side than the DPS side that they didn't even proc the boss DR that much. So they weren't getting punished for not building damage. And that's why for the longest time we had a tank meta, right? In Last Epoch, because why would I build damage? Sure, my killing time is going to increase a bit, but I could just be immortal and not even interact with the system because I'm so ZDPS that I'm just doing my full damage. I'm not getting punished at all, right? And now that that is not the case, it looks like if you don't have at least enough damage for a build to feel smooth, you might struggle. Sure, the devs say that you can just wait out the ward, but it's gonna be a matter of how fast does it decay, does it feel good, you know?
Yeah, I mean technically you can wait, yeah, but we'll see about that one. I mean in end game, I think actually like building damage is gonna be like feel much better than before because now you actually have your full damage and you just it's not gonna be like hindered by the DR. So I think it's gonna feel much better. I'm thinking.
Yeah,
that's the best part about it.
Yeah, that's the best part, no?
It's like it's consistent your damage. You're not like, oh, now I'm dealing like 10% of the damage I'm usually doing.
I think it's gonna help a lot too with balance and actually to having a good idea of how good your build is. Because now before, right, it's like, oh, my build is killing, Julra or whatever boss in 10 seconds or whatever. And because the dynamic DR was popping, a lot of builds were reaching those times through different formulas, right? Because not all of them were popping the DR as hard. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
It's gonna be a lot easier to compare builds 1-to-1 and kind of have a good idea of where everything stands then.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, that's a really big thing actually, and it's also gonna be nice with the new Pinnacle boss. So you actually have like a really nice kind of like contest on the Pinnacle boss, like who kills it the fastest and which build kills it like really fast and stuff. So it's gonna be nice to compare.
Yeah, because in the past, most people agreed, right, that if your build could do like, I don't know, like 200k DPS, you're doing a lot of small 50k crits or like big 200 or 1 million hits every so often, that was considered pretty good, right, to play the game. That was considered viable because you were at that point where you weren't really getting screwed by damage reduction and the build still felt smooth to play. And that's probably going to change. And at the same time, like you guys are saying, builds that have a lot of damage actually have the potential now to one-shot, right? So
yeah.
I wonder if it's going to raise the floor but also lower the ceiling. Like it does give more health to the boss. So technically you need more damage.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. In theory, if you were playing a build that didn't do enough damage to proc the DR system, bosses are gonna have anywhere between 3 to 5 times the EHP they had before, maybe, right?
Something like that.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, there's gonna be a lot of like ward breakpoints on the bosses, so. But I mean, we have to see how the decay feels and all that. But it's also gonna feel pretty bad if you're just like waiting for the decay. It's just like, I mean, I might not as well just not attack because I'm just waiting for the decay to go down. That's also like
channel rebuke in a corner,
Yeah, like I'm waiting for the decay. Maybe it goes away.
Bro, what if the build to kill the fastest ever boss is actually like a tanky build, where you just wait for the boss to die?
It's a pacifist playthrough, Last Epoch.
Pacifist playthrough.
Also, one thing with the ward is that like culling is way less valuable now.
Yep, absolutely.
Because like before it was like giga valuable with the boss DR, but now it's like, you don't really care about it anymore.
Do you want to deep down into that a bit more and explain why?
Yeah, I mean, because now the HP is also ward, and I mean, you need to actually be on the HP threshold to proc the cull. So let's say the last breakpoint for the board is like 25%. I mean, you don't really have any sources with like 25% cull. So if you have the 10% culling, I mean, you're gonna like basically one-shot the HP part anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like
it's pretty useless now.
Yeah. So culls with the previous system, they were pretty much mandatory, no?
Yeah.
And now it's like, why even use it? Because again, if you have a 15% call and the boss has effectively, right, 4 HP bars or 5 or whatever they are with the breaking glass things with the ward, basically your 10% or 15% execute is basically now a 3% execute.
Yeah. Exactly.
which again, this obviously makes it less cheesy for bosses, and it's probably more healthy for the game, but it's something to consider when, you know, investing points into builds and prioritizing certain passives or skills even, because before, you know, with the, let's just say you're playing swipe, but it's like, oh man, I have to max this 14% threshold because otherwise it feels horrible.
Yeah. What if they change that to like an element that like makes you deal more damage to the ward part or reduce the ward?
Yeah, like in League of Legends, no? More damage to shields or whatever. Like...
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it would be interesting, yeah.
People in the chat are mentioning Last Laugh. And the devs are smart enough, they have nerfed Last Laugh. So,
by exactly 5%, so you don't have 25 on it. So
they have nerfed it just enough so the cull doesn't do any shenanigans. So, you know, Aurora in the chat was trying to be clever, but out-clevered. It is what it is, you know, EAG, Giga Chats. Yeah, I don't know what you were saying, Volka. I think asking ARPG players to wait on an ARPG in general as a concept, I don't know, based on my experience with chat and the community, I feel like everyone has like ADHD and they just want to go fast and you know, like, I don't know if waiting is gonna be the meta, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's more gonna be the damage is gonna be the meta. Like,
probably.
We want to kill the bosses in a reasonable time. You don't want to like wait there. So you want the damage basically.
Maybe we should make a new tier list. You know, what build can wait the most for the longest? You know.
Is there like some sort of dynamic scaling also to the ward? I don't remember.
I don't think so. Right? I think.
I'm pretty sure it like ramps up though. Like,
I think it scales basically on the HP of the boss. So the more HP, the more ward. It's proportional, pretty much. You know. And maybe there's some sort of like level scaling through the campaign, so in the campaign it's not just giga crazy. But we're gonna have to see it. And yeah, Cats in a Cloud in the chat says that it might feel like instance bosses. And I feel like, well, depends on your DPS, right? Because if you can just... Let's just say you're playing a build that has 10 times the damage necessary to one-shot something, then the ward, you're not even gonna see it. You're just gonna... and the word is gonna disappear.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. On the topic of ward decay.
Yeah. That's a big one.
What do you guys think about this?
I mean, it should make it so there's no more. I mean, it's gonna be harder to be like really insane ward master. You know, like you have 100,000 ward or 1 million ward, whatever. So it should be. You should kind of have like a cap now. In a way, it's like kind of like soft capped.
Yeah.
In theory.
I was running the numbers. People were DMing me on my Discord, and it seems like after like 10,000 ward, the decay is gonna be so aggressive that it might be a situation where you're not even incentivized, right, to build that. Because I feel like in the past, basically it was pretty dumbed down, right? The more ward, better. Me ward, me good, me spam, right? And it might be that in this patch you want to be a bit more strategic, right? Where like, hey, I want to reach exactly this amount of ward. We will see what it is based on the numbers. And after that, maybe I go hybrid, maybe I go region, maybe I go armor, maybe, you know, instead of just basically ignoring every other defense layer and just going on ward, which is what people were doing last patch, right? People were just like, oh, who needs, like, there was people playing without flame ward, right? On mage and stuff, because who needs flame ward when you have 1 million ward, right? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, even 10,000 ward is quite a bit. So I mean, we'll see, but.
Yeah, I think
it's not gonna get like super crazy now, so that's good.
And they
I think 1.0 like warped the like how people see ward. Like before, like 10k ward was insane. Now it's like it's nothing. Like at 1.0.
It definitely felt like that, right? It definitely felt like a lot of people who were new to the game on 1.0 or people who came from other games, they would like come to Maxroll, for example, and they would say, oh, what are these guys doing? Their builds are so bad, right? Or in reality, well, all of those builds are gone this patch, and all the builds people complain about are the meta now, or they might be the meta, right? So Well, yeah, it definitely 1.0 warped people's perspective of what was normal in terms of DPS too, with things like Jecklors. And yeah, I was talking the other day with Vision actually, right? And if they potentially change the word, because this has been talked in the community for months, we were talking how like maybe even for builds that used to kind of like fall behind because they couldn't reach 20k worth or 40 or whatever, now maybe low life might be actually be more appealing than before for those like balanced builds that relied, that maybe playing low life couldn't reach more than, again, 4,000 or whatever, right? Because they had too much affix friction or whatever. And now with the new formula, if it's actually better early on, low life might actually be super reliable for summoners, for example. I don't know what you think about that, Vision.
Yeah, kind of on that topic, the ward decay is supposed to be less aggressive on builds that are generating less than 4,000. So kind of in general, I'm interested to see if some builds start trying to splash into some ward generation, just because you don't have to go all in as much maybe on like ward decay threshold and ward retention. I'm kind of curious if we'll see like different variants of builds pop up that can kind of hover somewhere around the 4K cap.
Hi, people, my chat, at least when we were reading patch notes, people are talking about hybrid builds. Maybe, getting that. Because to be honest, you never get punished for building HP, right? There's no diminishing returns on HP, really. In fact, the more HP you build, the better, right? Because percentage gets better. So we might see situations where you might want to go, I don't know, like 5k health and then 4k ward on top. Kind of like, and get the best of both worlds, and you could even double dip, right? With things like Regen and Vessel of Strife. You're gonna regen your ward pool and your HP pool. It could be really strong if you ask me, but
yeah, because there might be builds where it's very easy to build ward and reach like the soft cap.
Yeah,
but then you have space to build other stuff on top of it.
Or you might have that question of like, why would I go over 10k ward when it's just gonna instantly decay anyway? And I could get more armor or more dodge or regen, right? All of these all of these extra layers got buffed, right? So completely possible. Glyph of Envy. Holy.
Zoom.
Yeah, it's nice for just easy stability and everything. They made like stability, corruption, all of this stuff is like super easy to get now. It's gonna be super fast to like just push up corruption also. So.
Yeah. There was a big complaint for people in Last Epoch where like they felt like, especially for people who are more casual and they don't have 1,000 hours to invest every patch or whatever. Like now you can actually like get an ult theoretically empowered in like a matter of half an hour? No? Like you just go in, Glyph of Envy, boom, 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 and you just go from boss to boss. And as long as you're twinged and your build is powerful, you could do it, right?
Yeah.
What about the crafting section? Are we crafting some? I see you smile.
I'm not sure if that's really like. I mean, I feel like this item is only for the stability, but maybe there's some like 5-head things with it.
Someone on Reddit is gonna prove us wrong in 24 hours. After the patch.
Yeah, because you can reroll like stuff with it. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe. There's not much to say about this, no? I mean, really nice for ults, I would say, is the TLDR from this.
A quality of life, yeah.
Ooh, experience changes. I think the main takeaway here is how the last 3 levels are gonna be substantially longer. I don't know.
I mean, there's also...
Yeah?
The minimum level of skills is kind of interesting.
Yeah, for leveling, experimenting a bit more.
Yeah, because people had a lot of complaints about like not being able to experiment like at low level. So this makes it easier. I mean, still probably will feel bad for a lot of people, but at least it's nicer now.
And I'm kind of interested to see how the XP tome stuff works, because I think they're pretty unhealthy when the meta is, for raising or for leveling fast or getting favor or whatever. When the meta was just like going from book to book, like you're like Gandalf or something, like I want to kill monsters. I don't want to be a librarian, like.
Yeah. True.
Ooh, corruption changes. What is your takeaway from this, guys? From these changes?
Corruption.
I mean, the biggest thing is that like after 1k corruption, there's not really any benefit, at least for XP. So yeah, because you just don't get much after 1k corruption. So 1k corruption might be like a pretty like usual spot where you stop. Like you don't go higher unless you just want to, but
Yeah,
there's not much benefit.
unless you want to showcase how degenerate you are, right? And how I do it because I can kind of mentality, right? And unless you're going for, I mean, it's still gonna affect LP, right? In theory, but it might be that 1k corruption is, especially now with DPS checks and everything we mentioned previously, it might be that that's the new standard, you know, for which again the devs keep saying it should be 300, but maybe now that I think this patch balance-wise looks very good on paper, but it might expose that maybe the base game is a bit too easy and corruption needs, if they want us to be around between 300 and 1000 at the top, which is what these changes indicate, right? There might be to do some corruption scaling speed up, maybe by double it to begin with and see what happens. Like
It's weird, right? Because they also buffed the corruption acquisition. Now it's way faster. Like way faster.
Yeah, they want you to go faster there. They want you to alt good, but it seems like they don't want you to just feel like you have to know life 2k corruption to be efficient, right? Because I know there's some members of the community who were like going really hard and really breaking the system. I heard of people like basically being at 4000 corruption, doing beacons and repeating the echo because the beacon enemies would give X favor. And they could just, at 4k corruption, doing 3 beacons in a row, they could literally fill up the favor in like half an hour, right?
Like 1 million favor?
Yeah, so...
Okay.
maybe not intended.
I think it's nice. Having the infinite scaling on the corruption system is nice to think about, but it's also kind of nice to have like a point where you can just settle in and farm and not feel like you're not being the most efficient, because we're playing an ARPG. I mean, farming for loot is pretty fun. I don't always want to be stressing about like, oh, I gotta push further. It's nice to kind of just like end up at a spot where you can eventually just like grind for a while, just zone out and farm.
Yeah, one thing I actually would like for corruption is just like you unlock it once. Let's say you unlock 1k corruption once, and then you can just like have a slider, so you can put whatever corruption you want. Because if you need to push 1k corruption on every character, that's kind of still a lot. But either they do that, or it's like some kind of like scaling thing, like you said, like make it harder.
It does feel like at the moment, because the reality is the game doesn't really have much outside of corruption. And a lot of the new activities are tied to it, like exiled mages and all these things, and nemesis. Now we have the pinnacle boss, but again, is one boss gonna keep people playing? I don't know, right? So I think the devs are also a bit scared of letting you do that at the moment, because if they do that, you're removing 90% of the gameplay loop, right? And I feel like the more the game grows, and the more loot we get, and the more items we get, we're seeing it this patch with they are letting us filter LP level now, or LP now. Yeah. Well, because we're just getting so many items that they're forced to. And I feel like eventually, when the game gets more activities, more bosses, more dungeons, more the famous monolith rework, the ancestral, all the things they're gonna add, right? I feel eventually they're just gonna allow you to skip the parts that used to fill up the gameplay loop, because they're not gonna be needed anymore to keep you entertained, right? That's my guess, but we will see.
Yeah.
I mean, also with the corruption scaling, like there are always going to be like power creep as we go for like from patch to patch. So it's interesting that they allow you to go faster in the corruption, like getting corruption faster. I mean,
yeah. But I wish they just tiered it. You know, if they just made tiers, like, you know, at every 100 you unlock a tier up to 1000 or whatever, and you get big boons. Kind of like a faction of its own that just like, you know, because I feel like having a goal that you can actually reach, it's important. Like, you know, I feel like if you want to motivate someone, you don't send them to a ramp that never ends. You send them to a staircase or like a mountain where they can see the top, and it's even if they never reach it, it existing, I think just creates that psychology of maybe one day I do it, especially for casuals who I don't know.
You create goals for people instead of having the people themselves setting goals for like, I don't know, 1k corruption, 2k corruption, which is completely, like, it doesn't mean anything.
I feel like other games, like for example PoE, do that really well, right? Where like it's very, very easy to gauge as a new player how well you're doing and how much you have to improve. Like for example, have I ever done one of the quest bosses? The first time you do them is very memorable, right? Because as a casual, it takes quite a while to get there. And the same way, the first time you get to yellow maps or red maps, if you're playing on your own and you're like, playing normally and you're a noob, it's very, very, very clear thresholds. Kind of going back to Diablo 2, no? Like the normal, nightmare, hell. It's so simple, yet it just works, right? So I feel like these infinite ramping, scaling things struggle to keep people engaged. It's the same with Arena, right? It's like, just infinite, so...
Yeah.
Because what if they had like other system to corruption? How is it going to scale with corruption? There's going to be a point where it's not going to scale anymore, or it doesn't even make any sense.
I much rather have a corruption that only goes to 1,000 or 500 or whatever, and they just make it harder, and then they add things on top, like, what if you could influence the corruption, right? So it's like a corruption that spawns, kind of like delirium in PoE and things like that, right? So it's like
choosing maps, basically.
Yeah, exactly, juice. Yeah. So it's not about a time grind lock, and it's more about like, I got to the cap semi-easily, and now that I'm at the cap, I can modify my experience without feeling that the mountain never ends,
Mm-hmm.
All right, shall we change topics? I'm gonna skip some stuff. So a lot of quality of life we've seen, right? Like the loot filter improvements, the Monolith of Fate being able to, the gaze changes, the fact that you can look for specific echoes.
Blessings?
Ooh, that's a big one.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah. You can finally switch between them. That's so nice.
How do you feel about that, Vision?
I think it's going to be pretty huge. I think one of the big things is just alts can access, for one. So, I mean, you're not going to have to think about this massive blessing grind on every character. Anytime you defeat a timeline boss, all of the blessings that are even offered, not even selected, just everything that's offered is going to be stashed. So, a lot more quality of life there for, like, playing an alt character. You could get to endgame and already have a lot of the blessings you need kind of lined up there. Mm-hmm. I think overall it's going to make blessing farming itself feel a lot more rewarding, because you're not looking at just one blessing roll for the blessing you need, but you're getting good, like potentially good blessing rolls on blessings that alternate characters could need too. So it really opens up a lot of like longevity for what you can play in a patch and how much time that's going to consume. You can kind of just like go build to build a lot more quickly.
Yeah, and for example, I'm just thinking, right, if you have like a main sorcerer, for example, that you just have in standard and you played it enough, so you basically have every blessing at max rolled. For example, something as for theory crafting on its own, right, while you're waiting for new patch or you read patch notes, it's gonna be so nice being there and being able to in-game test all of these things without having to deal with tools and stuff.
Yeah, especially because like online might have like some differences with like offline. So, yeah.
And like Cats in a Cloud is saying in chat, you do only get the minimum roll for other characters. So, but you still unlock the blessings. But yeah.
Yeah, so it's even better because it unlocks not only for your character but also for all the characters, even if it's like minimum roll. Like it's crazy good.
Like playing alts is gonna be so nice with all the Glyph of Envy and all of these things, blessings. It's gonna be nice.
Yeah, this is also ties down to what we were talking earlier, right? Like for example, if you ask me if I would be up for this change like 2 years ago, I'll be like, you're crazy. Like getting blessings is literally the only chase, right? When we didn't have legendaries and we didn't have all of these things. And now you have other things in your head, so blessings just become like another chore and not really the main game. Where before, min-maxing blessings was pretty much the end game, right? 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I like I said, the more content and the more things to actually do that are engaging in the game, I think the more quality of life they're gonna give us.
Yeah.
And I still like that, that you still have goals. But for example, there's a lot of blessings where it being max rolled or minimum rolled, is it gonna be a huge deal? For example, like let's just say you're playing a fire build and you have the fire shred, and it's minimum rolled, so it's like 30%, right? Instead of 50 or whatever. And then you switch to cold and you get the minimum rolled. I mean, with a lot of builds, that's enough. That's enough, if you have a lot of hits.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be so nice just to allow at least to get starting. You can start testing on the moment, and you still don't have that full
some
power.
Of the leech blessings.
Yeah, leech blessings
Some
are
of the leech
insane.
blessings
Actually,
would be immediately noticeable.
Oh yeah. Because for some builds, if you're playing throwing without throwing leech, right, or whatever, it's pretty rough. So
Yeah. You basically need bleeding hearts, so
yeah,
this is gonna
absolutely.
be much easier. Like this.
You know what I'm also thinking about? Boss cheesing. Now that you can change your blessings from like one button, you can. You remember like the degenerate playstyle where you play one build and then you respect right before the boss. So now, boom, you just respect the blessings as well.
Yeah,
easy.
You gotta be careful with a lot of these things, right? The fact that we still have things like snapshot, and there's still items, for example, like Throne of
snapshotting. Oh my god, you're right.
Dude, snapshotting, bro. You go in, you grab all the minion things, right? And then switch to your rebel. All right, let's stop it. Like, that's not. People are gonna cook. Well, XP ladder. Are you guys gonna race?
I want to sleep, so no, I don't think so. You need to not sleep,
Volca. This is why you play hardcore. You do like me. You go slow as a turtle. You let people die, and you use the thousands of hours of knowledge you have, and just claim you're the god, right? When everyone's dead.
Insane strat, actually. True.
Easy, low effort. You sleep, you get breakfast, you wake up, and everyone's dead to the Harbingers because they didn't realize they're dangerous or whatever. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you watch the clip, and so you learn the fight. Easy.
True, yeah.
Talking about the Pinnacle boss, what do you guys think? Is the Pinnacle boss gonna be like scary? What are we expecting here? If we had to compare it to what would be your ideal? Let's just say that. Like, if you had to choose, let's just compare it to Tier 4 Julra. How much times harder are we talking?
I mean, like 10 times harder, maybe? I don't know.
10 times. So
I mean, something on the level of like Maven in PoE. I don't expect it to be like Uber Maven type of, or like PoE Uber boss.
Okay,
style,
so with 10 times harder, it would go from Julra is like a 5-second kill, right? So it would be
1 minute.
No, 10 times would be like 25 seconds, no, or 50 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll see, right? Again, he's not gonna have boss DR, right? So I do think this change for DR is amazing, but especially for bossing, it's probably gonna expose how much has to be done in terms of balancing. And at this point, I think it's probably gonna be easier to make the game harder than to buff every build, because I feel like it's just gonna be easier, no? Like, I feel like people are. I think players are just so strong in general. Like how many builds can one-shot Julra through dynamic DR, right? Imagine now. I'm guessing the number of builds that can do that, it's gonna improve rather than decrease, but we will see.
Yeah, and if you make every build like 50% less good, like do like 50% less damage, people are gonna be pretty unhappy. Yeah. So it's better to just buff the bosses.
Just make it harder, and again, it will also make the game is so easy, I have to go to 1k corruption till it gets hard. That would also fix that, right? The drainage of you chasing difficulty and never really found it because you get stronger than the difficulty. Like you're chasing difficulty, but when you get close, by the time you're there, you're stronger, so you never really chase it, right? You never really get it. Feels bad, man.
It's also tied to the item acquisition now. Like rares, they don't exist anymore like they used to.
Yeah, we had a lot of internal talks with this, right? About in Maxroll for the last few months, actually. Even from 1.1, that after the factions, we used to having tier 20s. Used to be like, holy, look at this tier 20. A tier 20 is basically an item with 4 tier 5s, right? And now you don't even look at them, right? You're like,
yeah. So, now you even hide T6 like in the end game. So.
Yeah, you
what the fuck?
You hide T6. It's like, this is not good enough for me.
Yeah, you only show the really specific things and T7s and double exalters and these, but yeah. Super strict.
But basically, like with faction, we speedrun from before it was also the case, kinda like even before factions, like rares, you would go directly to exalted because they were dropping like from the get-go at like not even empowered, like in regular monolith. Even campaign, you could drop them in campaign if you did like chapter 8 and 9.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's too quick, man.
I wonder too what the experience in Merchants Guild is gonna be, because obviously for those who don't know, on the first cycle there was a bunch of problems, let's just say that. There was a bit of items that shouldn't be in the economy were there, gold that shouldn't be in the economy was there, a lot of gold that shouldn't be in the economy was there. Let's just say you could print it, right? Let's just say that.
Yeah.
And I think, and also people didn't understand how the system worked, right? So people were selling items for free because they thought that way they would get more XP or something. And I wonder if, the people are gonna start playing Merchants Guild how it's meant to, because I think the first cycle was kind of a weird, altered version of what it truly will be. Still gonna be OP, right, and amazing. But I wonder what, again, are people gonna get 4 LP items day 1 for 0 anymore? Maybe. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Like, I haven't played a lot at the start in trade. I think there are still going to be people selling stuff for 0. Like, there are still going to be people confused about that system. 100%. But yeah, maybe the people are going to start like to know what the prices of like 4LP actually are, instead of just putting it for like 10k gold or I don't know. Because there is like a delay between the market, like people being able to buy the 4LP and people selling them. So there's like a delay where there's a lot in the market, but not a lot of people can buy them. And so people need to figure that out. Like,
yeah, we're gonna see Bina buying every movement speed item in the day 1. Movement speed.
Movement speed tycoon. He's gonna buy all of them.
Yeah, that's the account name. Movement speed god. We also seen a few changes to the factions, mainly to Circle of Fortune, right? There's quite a few buffs for the things that basically COF struggled with, which is mainly boss acquisition items, right?
Yeah.
My understanding is that the system works as a reroll and not necessarily an increase, based on how other things work in the game. So, for example, if you have an item that is a 50% drop chance from a boss, like Woven Flesh, my understanding is that can roll. It rolls normally 1 time, and then when the rank 10 benefit procs, it procs another time, and then it has 50% to proc again. So if you roll positively all the outcomes possible, you could technically get 3 of the same item in a single kill, potentially. Right? Which, again, for guaranteed drops of bosses, or guaranteed, the 50% drop ones, things like Buldar's Wrath, things like Eclipse, things like Woven Flesh, Ribbons of Blood. Well, you guys know, right? Player's Pride, Mountain, Peak of the Mountain. How easy is gonna get Peak of the Mountain now, right? Peak of the Mountain.
This is gonna be so nice. This is gonna be so nice for all the COF gamers, because like the boss drops were, it was so bad compared to MG. So it was basically like playing without a faction. So this is super nice, really nice.
Yeah,
it was quite literally the opposite. Like in MG, it was so easy to get them, whereas in COF it was super hard.
Yeah, and it was the opposite, right? For you guys, getting good exalted was actually kind of weird, because a lot of people were killing bosses just doing their monoliths, but not a lot of people were acquiring Exalteds through gameplay, because most people in MG didn't get to max level even, right? So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And they changed the prophecy thing, right? Yes, Vision?
Yeah, with Merchant's Guild, I do see one thing that they didn't mention in the patch notes, but was mentioned in the quality of life post, is that they have some search functionality change for the Bazaar coming just at some point later in 1.1 when it's ready. And like what Tarek was talking about with a lot of people like not really understanding and listing things for 0 gold, I think when you play Merchant's Guild, at least for me, it felt like I was playing pretty blind because there's not really a good way to compare items. So I think once something like that gets added and you can kind of compare a bit better and there's better filters, there might be a bit more of like a meta developed there with Merchant's Guild. But right now you're kind of playing blind.
Yeah, I know there's a few Discords that did stuff, you know, kind of like they do in PoE and stuff. But yeah, it was the Wild West, pretty much.
Yeah.
Buying idols at 1.0 was like the worst.
It also depends a lot on player numbers, right? Because I don't know, I mean, sure, this patch, especially, I think this patch, I don't know if you guys agree, but to me, it felt like 1.0 should have been somehow. You know, boss DR is gone, corruption makes kind of more sense, like the factions seem balanced, like Ward has been it feels like this is what in my dreams 1.0 should have been, and it's just coming a bit later because, well, release dates and times and schedules and all that. But I wonder if this patch, in terms of player count that people are mentioning in the chat, is going to be as big as 1.0. Because sure, a lot of people are going to play, but it doesn't have that 1.0 punch, especially with other games like Elden Ring and PoE releasing very soon and close. And so again, that might really affect also the fact that there's no duping anymore, and the fact that maybe it's better explained, and the fact that there's less players. It might actually impact quite a bit the day 1, 2, and 3 or 4 even experience of Merchant's Guild, right? We'll see.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Meanwhile, COF players just chilling and enjoying the new bonuses and not caring about
Giga chat. Are you guys gonna play all COF or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play COF.
Okay, 4 out of 4.
Hardcore COF. Bro.
I wonder what the chat is gonna do. What is chat gonna do? Like COF or merchants? I'll let people type and see what the most people are saying, just out of curiosity. Oh, straight up COF. One MG.
COF
1
gamers.
MG. Okay,
Nice.
COF. Okay, we have 1 MG so far. Hello. Okay, come on, guys. Like, Tweep needs someone to trade with. Okay, Misha and Katz are gonna be in MG. Okay, interesting. Shall we go to skills? We've been talking quite a bit about just the average game or the generic changes. Misha is saying that all COE people are plebs.
But I mean, what if you just play solo? Like you can't go MG on solo. Like,
True.
What do? Do you just need to play without a faction, or?
Hey, bro. It's just no friends, no trading. Easy as it is,
Bro, solo I play MG just for gambling items to the faction vendor. That's it.
It's okay, guys. Everyone knows COF to the moon, bro. It's insane.
Yes.
To the moon. Okay. Let's start with gameplay, no? Channeled skills. Oh boy.
It's a pretty massive change. Like, I mean, things come to mind like Perma Ghost Flame and stuff like that. I mean, you can do many interesting things now with Mana Region.
This is the one thing that I have no idea what to expect.
Yeah. I mean, for leveling, it doesn't really impact it too much unless you're doing like twink leveling with gear.
Yeah,
Like, why would you invest in like mana regen during leveling? Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think for builds centered around these channeling skills, though, it could feel a lot better to play overall. Like from a gameplay perspective, not having to stop and start using your main skill to allow these periods where you're like using like time and faith or something, where I have to auto attack for a while and get my mana back. If you're investing in mana regen, it could feel a lot smoother for builds like, I don't know, Warpath, or if you're playing a Disintegrate build, for example.
Yeah,
there's not going to be
Disintegrate
these
looks...
big lulls in gameplay.
Yeah, Disintegrate looks... Well, it's a new skill. I don't know what to expect. I'm sure someone's going to cook something. And then I'll yoink it, Easy.
Yeah. But that's true what you said, the vision. I didn't think about that. The fact that it is the use of actually channeling skills like Warpath. Like you don't have to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't think about that. I was more thinking about like stuff where you proc like other skills while you're channeling or that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. To be honest, this is the one change that, and in theory, it shouldn't really affect much because again, builds like Ghostflame were already perma-channeling, kind of, anyway. And things like, I don't know, what else channeled? Like Flurry, basically perma-channeled, right? So I guess, I don't know, we'll see, right?
I guess it opens up like options for whatever, like maybe somebody finds something cool.
I think for leveling especially, it might be... Because it felt quite bad, for example, if you were playing Sentinel and you are like, I don't know, let's just say you're playing like a Warpath with something that spends mana, like a Forge Strike, right, for example?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it would be nice if while you're Warpathing, at least your mana, even if it doesn't quite fill up fully, like you at least have enough mana to then bonk again, right, or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of bug fixes. Shall we go by class? So we can go by class kind of generically. We don't have to go in super detail, but we can start with Acolyte. And oh boy, Bone Course change.
Yeah. I mean, this should basically kill the Profane Veil Bone Curse interaction where you just like consume the minions, like you consume the Bone Prison and you get like massive amount of ward.
Yeah.
So now instead of getting flat HP for the Bone Prison, you get less damage taken. So that's a pretty clever way to do it.
Yeah, zombies are probably gonna still be an option, right? Because you can still scale HP on those, and I'm sure people are gonna cook. But if I would have to describe how I feel about the Acolyte changes now, basically if you read especially on Warlock and the things that Acolyte players were using, like the Immolator belt and things like that, it feels like everything we've been saying for 6 months and kind of like refused to include in our guides because we knew it was going to changed, right? So I personally feel a bit validated with these patch notes because I just feel like Nostradamus. But yeah, people are going to have to do a lot of rethinking about how they were playing their builds, right? Because a lot of, obviously, people who wanted to be efficient were really theory crafting around these very specific interactions. Like again, the belt that give you flat damage, the intelligence on Ghost Flame thingy. Like I don't know, you're more experienced with that than me, Volka. What can you tell us about that Ghost Flame and Profane Veil?
Yeah, I mean, Immolator's belt. Yeah, Immolator's belt used to give you 240 flat damage. Now it gives you 40 flat damage. So that's a pretty small nerf, like just like 1/6 of the value. So that's pretty huge. Then the what else did you say? The
what do you think the intelligence thingy?
Yeah, the Ghost Flame dodge per int. I mean, it's nerfed by it's 1/10 of the value. So it used to be 10 per int. Now it's 1 per int. So it's like a oops. We just have a bit of a big number in the beginning.
Imagine having a node that got nerfed by 90%. And it's still good. That's a crazy thing.
It will still be good, yeah.
It's still gonna be good.
To make it like there's other changes to make it like not so just like oppressive Ghost Flame, but yeah.
Do you guys think there's still nodes that are as outrageous as this that you guys are aware of? Or 1.1, like how like everyone knew Healing Hands worth it was just like Monka, and everyone knew like Profane Veil and all of these things were known, right? Or Jacklors and these things, or the infinite smoke bomb stuff. Do you guys what is something that comes to mind that you go like, holy, this is still like to a level that probably doesn't fit in current LE?
I mean, there's a lot of actually, at least 2 in Profane Veil. So the one is the cooldown reduction node where you just like spam your curse, and you
Oh, yeah.
basically have like really high uptime on Profane Veil.
Almost permanent, no? If you
Almost permanent, yeah. And the other one is the Profane Orbs frequency node. It gives you basically like you cast Profane Orbs when you channel Profane Veil, and you can increase the frequency by like I think it's 4% frequency per cast speed. So get 100% cast speed, that's 400% frequency, and you get I think it's like 60% more damage per curse. So you're gonna have like what 6 curses, so 360% more damage on those orbs. So those two nodes are pretty crazy on Profane Veil.
Is this a teaser, Volka?
It might be a teaser. It might be a teaser.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Also with the poison tech, right? That with it's gonna be that's definitely gonna feel unethical. Hey,
Yeah, for sure.
Is Torment still gonna be one of the top builds?
I mean, technically yes, but it's just you don't want to only do damage with just the Torment now, because actually Torment itself got nerfed quite a bit, because you get way less Wither stacks, so you get 10 stacks of Withering instead of 20, so that's like 100% increased damage taken lost, so that's a huge loss. And then you also lost the a little bit of multiplier on the Necrotic Res scaling. So like the Torment itself is going to be actually quite like low damage, but then you want to combine it with other things like the Profane Orbs. Then that's going to be
we might go into more of a hybrid playstyle, right? Where you're scaling crit multiplier and you're scaling necrotic res, and you're kind of like you have Torment for AoE, but then you have some additional hit damage for single targets.
Yeah,
And
exactly,
probably if you based on the patch notes, what would you say wins the war between Ghost Flame and Profane Veil for this patch? Just based on
I think Profane Veil is just way better now. I mean, it's just like you're immortal when you use it, and there's it's just you have such high uptime on it and everything. It's there's no it has to be the best.
Yeah, it got nerfed quite a bit, right? But Ghost Flame also got nerfed quite a bit. I mean, I never really played with it, so I it's gonna be interesting how the movement speed nerfs feel too, right?
Yeah.
All right. Catonic Fissure. This is what we mentioned, right? Insane Dead Seal buff. It costs 0 mana cost instead of 1 now. Insane. Mao in the chat. That's all you get on Lich, by the way. That's the buff. Insane.
No. There is Reaper form changes also, but
are they a buff though? Because they're technically a nerf. No, numerically.
I mean, it's something.
Numerically, it's a nerf. So yeah, I don't know. You can be physical now. Powers.
Yeah, insane.
Yeah, this is the Ghost Flame stuff we talk about, right? Especially the node that gave it the dodge rating per int.
Yeah,
that one
used to be 10.
Yeah, that one suffered quite a bit. All right, Profane Veil also quite a bit nerfed, but again,
Harvest, not quite buffed enough, I would say. Needs quite a bit more than that.
The global increased crit chance is what it needed, because it struggled with crit chance, that ability, with like 40 flat, on the tree.
Yeah.
Let's give it more crit chance, guys, on the bottom tree that is hard to get. Like, great.
Yeah.
But it's a global buff now?
Yeah,
or is it always a global buff?
It's very weird, right, Harvest, because it seems like people see Harvest and they think, holy, I just want to go in and like do main damage. But then half of the tree is like to support minions and to like buff and to like spread dots and shit.
Yeah,
and it's like, dude, just let me reap, consume,
Yeah.
And you can't quite, achieve that. Well, I mean, you can. Harvest is playable with the unique axe, right?
Yeah, it is playable, but you need so much gear, and it's not even that crazy.
Yeah.
Is that a buff to Warlock build? Because you can proc that buff like indirectly, like you don't have to use it directly, from what I understood.
Yeah, for
like the crit multi.
The thing is, like, as far as I know, for Warlock, you never really build crit chance, right? Because you can get a lot of your crit chance just from the poison thingy on Catonic. So
I'm talking about the crit multi, like 25%.
Yeah, maybe the crit multi. Nice. Maybe it might be better to spec Reaper over Riplot in some builds. We'll see. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, is generic crit multi?
Yeah.
Dude, bleed with with the
Yeah,
with the
salve
crit
wounds and
multi-glow,
stuff.
salve wounds,
Yeah.
bro. Like insane. Okay, let's continue. Okay, minion buffs. You know, the army people are gonna be happy, I guess. They're gonna be a bit tankier. And
Yeah.
dude,
They did that to every minion, by the way.
yeah,
Like the scaling
early
of the
game,
house.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be much better.
Of course, bone armor was too OP for for Lich, so
Yeah,
Nerf.
transplant is looking kinda like there's not much on transplant.
Yeah,
you get
especially-
the frenzy and haste, and that's it.
yeah, especially now that the execute has been nerfed, right? Like,
yeah, that too. They're like, yeah,
I understand that they're trying to push people into not feeling like traversal skills are mandatory, but I feel like the fact that it's your main source of frenzy and haste, especially early game, you are kind of still gonna use it. It's just gonna be worst, you know.
and you can you can still use it unspec'd. Just you don't need to spec it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shall we talk about disintegrate, or we let the community cook on this one?
Oh no, disintegrate! Oh my god! Now the
Here's my
thing is,
brain.
it doesn't work with the Ignivar's head anymore. So and with the canvas fallacy, so you used to get like over 2,000% more damage from that. So are these changes enough to cover the 2,000% more damage lost? I don't think so. I'm a bit skeptical. you know. So-
Elemental Nova, another skill, right? I don't know if you remember Vision, but back when you hosted the OG tournaments, Elemental Nova, I'm pretty sure it won a lot of them, and it's kind of been forgotten now.
Yeah. Elemental Nova has always been extremely popular.
Yeah, and but now with the new skills, like it's kind of like an old queen that just got forgotten, no, with the new skills. But maybe, I don't know, Elemental Nova with mana cost applying spark charges like crazy on Zork or something. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Fireball can now convert the Fire Shred to Lightning Shred, so kind of nice. You know, those I want to see more of those conversions, honestly. Firebrand. Shall we talk about this one, or like we let Amarathi cook on this one, no? Like
Yeah, pretty much.
pretty much. Yeah. Okay. Spell.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they nerfed the buff that you get from it, but it's still OP.
Yeah, I wish we had Mr. Bina and Lone Star with us today, but they're busy, especially Bina. So to talk about Frostclaw, there's a
Yeah, he's the main Frostclaw enjoyer. So
yeah. The Frostclaw enjoyers, you know. Again, based on patch notes, it looks like it's still gonna be playable. It's still gonna be great, both crit or frostbite. But it's not gonna be 100k ward, full AoE, Novas proccing everywhere, full spam with full bounces, crazy, right? So probably gonna be still really strong. This is probably the nerf that has been done, I would say, the best from the super OP builds from before, like Jecklers and stuff. They seem like they kind of like reached, make it still really OP without being so overwhelmingly superior that there's nothing else that exists, right? I don't know how you guys feel about this.
Yeah, I don't really play mage at all, almost. So I don't have much to say
Hey,
about mage.
sorcerer patch, bro. You know.
But that one,
Yeah.
that Zork looks amazing, actually. Yeah.
And again, this is probably the most, again, Lightning Blast. This nerf, man. This is what I
Bro.
say. This is what I say when you see things that the community is using, and you go like, bro, people don't realize this is gonna get cucked eventually. And this is one of them, right? Like the Immolator Belt and Ghost Flame and these things. And this was one of them. Dude, this Lightning Blast thing, the closed circuit, used to be able to infinitely stack, and it gave 40% increased crit chance per stack and damage. So just with a lot of cast speed, this node alone could crit cap you without a crit catalyst, and it could give you up to 600 increased damage. Just that node, just from the bounces on single target. And now it gives 20% increased damage and 50% increased crit chance. That's it.
It's actually nice that they're adding caps to many things now.
Yes,
It's
I love
so
caps.
nice. So nice.
People hate
More
caps,
unlimited.
right? People hate caps, because they think creativity is getting like removed from the game. But in my opinion, it's quite the opposite, because if something is not capped, the entire objective is like, how do I abuse this the most?
Yeah.
Right? The only answer is more, right? Because there's no cap. But when there's caps to things, then you have to start thinking, oh, I'm already reaching my... How do I reach the 3 procs per second as efficiently as possible while also having other things going on for me? Because again, these builds that all you do is like, ladle, int, that's the build, you know? Like, I mean, is it really... Oh, Last Epoch theory crafting is so good, bro. Like, Caspit int, okay, nice. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's fun to play, but I don't know. I think to me, it's way less creative. That's something where you actually have to kind of juggle your breakpoints and your thresholds and your caps. But I don't know, that's just a personal opinion, honestly.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Yeah, it's definitely, it just makes it more interesting when you're not like focusing on one thing.
Runic Invocation.
I see a big one.
Yeah, I mean, we were all expecting this nerf on 1.0, and the fact that it didn't happen in 1.0, I think is what Tarek was talking about, where it made it so people had weird perceptions of what the game is about. People gotta realize 30% damage reduction is more damage reduction that Sentinel can get with all his buffs together. You know, like,
True. Yeah.
So, I mean, it had to be done, no? Like, 07 in the chat, I guess. It is what it is.
Yeah, pretty much.
It is what it is, bro. Oh, I love nerfs. Evil.
But going back to the limitation, I like it when they make it so that there is more quality of life, because like the old LE, you had like a lot of stuff that had poor quality of life, but no limitation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where the most optimal way to play the game was actually super annoying to play, right? Like, that's not great. Like
Void Knight, bro. Like we were talking about a few days ago. Like one of the biggest noob trap is that they start as a Void Knight.
Yeah.
And they try to level Void Knight with like Void abilities, like the big bonk build, basically.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It sucks because you have to maintain like 3 or 4 buffs all the time. Like it doesn't feel good.
Are you telling me that it's not engaging to press Anomaly every 7 seconds and Sigils every 3 seconds and Volatile Reversal every 3 seconds while launching to targets every 3 seconds? Are you telling me that's not fun? Like,
hey, that's what I do, but I guess most people don't like that.
Yeah. Hey, maybe Sigils gets solution now. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? All right. Again, Shatter Strike. Dude, with the Spellblade changes, this build, I think Shatter Strike, I don't know, to me, again, I don't really like playing it, so that's why I never mess with it, because I don't really like the entire Mana Strike thing. But this looks, I don't know, this looks cracked on paper in terms of DPS. Like...
Yeah, and it was already like really good, right? Like even before, so like for bossing and all that, so... Should do a lot of damage.
It should do a lot of damage. We'll see. Again, I really like that they're doing these changes where like you have nodes that give base more damage, and then the additional bonuses are just happen occasionally, but the nodes still have value when they don't meet the conditions. Like, I don't think anything feels worse than you get this when this happens, and when that is not happening, 0 value. You know, so it's good that points have at least a baseline value, and then if you meet the conditions, you double dip, right, or whatever. So. Much better.
If only they did that for Javelin also, would have been nice. But you know, one can hope.
But that's on Sentinel, bro. Like Sentinel, no buffs. You know. Technically good buff, but.
I mean, we did get Shield Bash, you know. So.
Yep. And then we have the old school boys, no? Static Orb and Volcanic Orb. Some abilities that again has shined in the past. Static Orb more than Volcanic. And again, to me. These abilities are gonna really synergize with the new sorcerer that allows you to apply spark charges. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but basically sharpnels are part of Volcanic Orb as a skill. So if you make Volcanic Orb cost 40 mana, in theory every Sharpnel should apply a spark charge through the new node. And the same goes for static orb, for the tendrils and the small orbs and explosions and all that. So I don't know, let's just say a single volcanic orb has 20 Sharpnels, and they all have 100% chance to apply a spark charge, and you just make them, when you make them so they don't move and they just stand in a boss, and you just you don't have to build damage on volcanic orb because your damage is through the spark novas, right, from Fragment of the Enigma. Well, you could potentially just spam volcanic orbs, get 10 volcanic orbs in top of a boss, and just apply 100 spark charges in a second or some shit. We'll see. I'm sure some of the Word enjoyers and Fragment of the Enigma mains, are gonna enjoy this.
Yeah.
Avalanche. Anyone wants to add something?
I mean, this is basically a completely new skill. So yeah. Now it's not channeled, so it's baseline. It's just you use it, but it costs 50 mana. So I'm guessing you need to build 50 mana regen. So
how do you regen mana, bro?
Bro, there's new buffs on Shaman, right, for mana regen.
Yeah.
For example, you get the 1% mana regen per attunement. So that's 100% regen right there with 100 attunement.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah.
You get lining rest, and I think Ursil Sprite build, bro. Old school Misha Sentinel with Ursil Sprite.
No.
Or you can go channeled with this, and then the mana cost should be fine, but the damage is also lower. So
or you could play Glacier.
Yeah, that, or you can do that, yeah. But you can also proc EQ and upheaval with the Avalanche. So maybe there's something there, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the EQ build with the Avalanche. I don't know how it's gonna go, man.
Are you excited, Vision, to play Shaman, or are you let others figure it out?
I think that's going to be one that I'm going to let others figure out first. I don't know. Also, I'm just unfortunately somewhere along the road I became a minion main, so I don't know.
Oh
Looking
shit!
for minion
Oh
stuff
no!
specifically.
Oh
You got
no!
consumed by the minions.
Okay, the big Maelstrom Serpent Strike changes. You want to explain a bit what's going on? Someone wants to?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is the dodge rating that's now increase instead of flat. So you used to get, let's say you have 20 stacks of Maelstrom, because that's what you usually have at least. So you used to get 360, actually 720 flat dodge from the Maelstrom, and now you instead get 180% increase. So it's way less, because building flat dodge is actually quite hard, but getting increase is easy. So it's way less dodge you get now from that. So pretty huge.
I think that's gonna make also items that have flat dodge in them extremely valuable.
Yeah.
For example, ever since I read this, I've been thinking about things like wing guards, things like weavers, smoke weaver, things like all the new boots that have I think there's
stealth, the stealth boot.
Which one?
Or was the stealth boots? I don't know if those were the. I don't know, bro.
I don't know if that's on the patch notes. Wonka?
Anyway.
I'm not sure, but yeah. Also the stun change also with you get way less stun chance now from Maelstrom.
Yeah, for Maelstrom, yeah. Because that was...
And you even get some more physical damage back, so I mean it's kind of cool.
Yeah, they are talking about CC actually. There's been big changes, no, on CC. In theory, now bosses are gonna be harder to stun, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. What else?
By the way, all of the items are actually on the planners already, so we can freely talk about everything. I'm guessing.
Yeah. That's what I was typing.
Yeah.
Are they on Maxroll too, or?
Yes, they are on Maxroll also.
Yeah, they put everything.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think we were gonna wait, but I guess people just released them and we didn't want to wait, or?
Yeah, something like that, I guess.
Okay, shall we take a look at some of them very quick?
Yeah.
Let me find it. Okay, 1 second. Okay, I was worried I would show things, Database. uniques. Shall we go for? Is there new shields or?
There is one at least.
Let me check.
Oh, I know which
The
one.
one-
I know which
Yeah,
one.
one.
Yeah.
I know which one. So, where is this bad boy? Let's talk about it. Okay.
There it
Grim
is,
Constitution. Oosh. What do you guys think about this one? Or for those who are listening, it's a new shield that grants 155% of max health gained as word decay threshold. And also max health gained as word per second. But you cannot gain word while in combat. So this is kind of like a shield where if you are a build that doesn't really get hit, and I'm thinking summoners or range builds or whatever, so you can build up a massive one-shot protection pretty much, right? Because this is not gonna really, once it's lost in combat, it's not gonna regenerate, right? But if you're doing a boss, for example, and you're in hardcore, this might be like a great item to just go in and test the waters and feel like whoa, and like quickly portal out. Or what do you guys think about this item?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's not gonna be useful for something that gets hit a lot
Mhm.
usually. Like, it would be nice for something like a ranged build where you just don't really get hit, but if you do, you have that like insane like
Mhm.
one-shot protection, because you're gonna have a lot of ward with this on top of your HP. And I mean, it's not actually, it's like pretty low LP and everything, so you might as well kind of use it as a like a base for for the affixes.
Yeah.
So maybe
it's-
something like Nova Hammerdin would like it, because
Yeah, I would assume if you put this on the campaign on a twink, like,
Yeah.
I mean, how do you die, right? Like,
I mean, I have one worry about this item is how does that work with minions? Because are you always in combat if your minion attacks like
I don't
an
think so.
enemy?
I don't think so.
Like, I wonder how it's gonna work. Because if you're in combat, like every time it damages an enemy, like you're always damaging enemies with minions. I feel like.
Yeah,
It does compete. It does compete a lot with some of the, like, for like Necromancer, for example. There's a lot of other offhands like Lich's Scorn or the Sanathia's Shield. So it's gonna be like a tough choice to make.
This definitely has a bit of a, I'm scared to die vibe, like.
Yeah.
Right. Shall we take a look at some others? I don't think there's new catalyst, right? Nope. There is a new quiver. There is a new quiver.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly.
Oh yeah, there is a new quiver. Oh.
Face point, it's called.
Okay. That one.
Hey. Effective legendary potential 87. So.
What?
I mean, I think depending on the build you're playing, it can be, because the thing, dash routes and black arrows can actually be pretty strong, right? Because you can make every black arrow give you like up to 5 dash routes, if I'm not mistaken, with the tree. So you could literally use this if you're playing like a tanky build like Hell of Arrows. If you have this, you could very easily replace basically the old quiver that people used to arrow guard, right? Because if you're running around with 50% dodge, which is very easy to obtain, you basically have a 25% chance to get 5 stacks like that, boom, every time. This item might be better than what it looks on paper. So
stuff is that you have to get to dodge stuff, like, I don't know, man. It's
yeah, because
the
it's when you
conditional
dodge.
is
Yeah, that's kind of the issue.
Yeah,
I don't like the conditional at all. Like, you have to go into them, like, you have to get hit, like, kinda, or go trying to get hit but then dodge to proc the buff, like, what?
And you get a lot of flat damage though, actually, for this, no? You could potentially, like, let's just imagine you dodge, like, when you get hit by a bunch of the foaming projectiles or like shitty arrows or whatever. I don't know. Let's see. Helmets. There is one that comes to mind. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh, the Snowblind?
There it is.
Oh.
No? Oh.
Okay, Seat of Yggdrasil. Okay, Finnish name or what?
Okay.
A lot of mana regen, and 28% of damage dealt to mana before health. This is not for mage only, so you can now have this on anyone, right? 56% of endurance mitigation applies to all damage dealt to mana. My understanding for this is like if you have 60% endurance, I don't know if it works over the cap. I would assume not. But if you have 60% endurance, is this endurance? It says endurance, not endurance threshold. So my assumption is basically your mana can get up to what? About up to 30-something% mitigation.
Yeah.
I would say, right? So again, 4 to 8% of maximum health gains and as endurance threshold. That's also pretty strong, especially on things like, again, werebear and stuff like that, right? Like builds that already have this. A bunch of health and 8% chance to take 0 damage when hit, which effectively, if you're getting hit by a lot of enemies, it's an 8% damage reduction, right? Obviously not against one-shots, but... And yeah, that item, again, 2 LP on it, doesn't look too crazy. So yeah, I mean, this is the kind of item that I feel like if you get a good one, and you have a build that doesn't struggle with mana sustain at all, let's just say you're playing a melee build that just like refreshes mana, you're playing Rife, for example, or whatever. You know, if you have this with 2 LP, might as well, you know, like, or if you're playing, I don't know, like Glacier, builds that can just recoup the mana easily, or even Leech, for example, right? Because Leech doesn't really, playing Marrow Shards, you don't care about mana or whatever. Obviously, this item has potential to be one of those that we will start seeing on a lot of best in slot planners of aspirational gear of, oh, by the way, whenever you get your 2 LP red rings, also get Seat of Yggdrasil with 3 LP, you know, and...
Yeah.
It's nice seeing these types of generic uniques coming into the game where there's like a wide variety of builds that could probably use this, and it's something that if you drop it with LP, suddenly it's like, oh, how can I work this into my build? It kind of like adds into the gearing puzzle of a character. It's just like one more thing that kind of just opens up options for you.
I completely agree with you, Vision, because I feel like, to me, when I see an item that just says, a Racing Strike does more damage, it's like, alright, I wonder what I'm gonna use this for, hoo-hoo, you know? And I feel like the items like this actually force creativity and force innovation, and you can get surprised more, right? Whether it's like, again, like
right.
items that are just like for, you know, kind of like what I call D4 items, where it's like pretty obvious what the item is for, and there's no really any theory crafting.
Yeah.
This feels like, who knows? The devs, it's impossible for the devs who have thought about all the scenarios this could be used on, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, like, it reminds me of PoE, where they like introduce uniques that are like completely useless, and then 2 years later they're like the best in slot, like for some of the best builds in the game.
Going back to items that are also very generic, like Vision was praising. What about this one? Null Portent.
You didn't show the new Snowblind.
You want to see the new Snowblind? I talked about it on the patch notes a bit, but the new the new Snowblind, for those, we'll just go over it quickly. The new Snowblind basically, where is it? The new Snowblind basically makes you immune to blind and chill, and it's very easy to get with LP level 10. So what this means is that it's gonna synergize amazingly with non-crit low life builds, right? Where you don't need the crit chance of Peak of the Mountain, because that basically means you're gonna be able to get like mitigate the chill chance from Last Steps of the Living, and you're basically gonna be able to zoom, right? Not get punished by the chill. So you get Last Steps of the Living, you get Exsanguinous, and you get Snowblind. all of them with a lot of LP, especially Snowblind, right? Because it's the lowest level out of them. And yeah, you're just zooming, no? Like, and not only that, but being able to grab the chill modifier in Monolith, for example, and just don't care. Pretty good.
Yeah. Plus, it's super easy to get 4 LP on it, like compared to other killings.
I mean, you get 24% more armor times 2 on that item. So I don't know how that ended up there, but it's there. So
and I hadn't seen this buff actually. I didn't know about this, but apparently the Cade's cool. You guys know the armor that gives you more damage and void on necrotic damage taken as physical.
Oh yeah, I just saw that. What?
It has a new modifier. 30% of armor mitigation also applies to damage over time. Holy.
And it's really low LP, 24.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah, that's nice actually. And void and necrotic damage. That could be really good for example, for a Void Knight, no? Where you go you go this helmet, you go the Eternal Gauntlets with the experimental affix, and then you go the Sentinel Relic and the chest piece, and I'm pretty sure you can get it 100%, no?
Yeah, you can reach that, yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna be so tanky, so.
Not bad, actually. I mean, I rather have tankiness options coming through items like this, rather than... And I rather they give us tools to make Sentinel tanky like this, more than, hey, 30% damage reduction on Frost Guard, right? So, this is, in my opinion, the right way to do it, so props to the devs, honestly. Cool stuff.
Yeah.
Now we talk about the armor now.
Yeah.
Where is it? Null Portent. So this item gives 6% of melee damage leeches health, 16% of overkill damage leeches health. So what this does is basically, you know, if you would do a lot of damage, you wouldn't leech the part that overkills the enemy, and this allows you to heal like that. There's another item in the game that gives this. For example, Exsanguineous gives that, and I think Woven Flesh has that, right? So really interesting.
Yeah.
Increase percentage increased leech rate. So this is multiplicative, right? And percentage increased and increased health. Is it multiplicative? I don't know. I'll confirm. 20% increased health, this resistance, and the big one here, less damage taken per 2 resistance above the normal up to 20%. So this is basically 20% damage reduction against everything, right? If you have 105 resistances.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's basically like Titan Heart, but just for everything. So you can use that on non-two-hander builds, and it's really good. It's really good. The LP level is pretty high though, 81 LP level. So
2 LP reasonable for COF.
Yeah.
Depending on how easy it is to obtain, right? I think, to be honest, this item might be way better than it looks for certain builds that are going, for example, Titan Heart and stuff like that. Because the reality is, like, right now, you get so much extra resistances. Like, I don't know if you guys feel like that, but nowadays, when I'm doing planners, with how prominent the All Rest Blessing is, and the red rings are, and Omnis, and the Nilis is gonna be this patch, the new amulet that we will look at. I feel like it's very easily to actually have 100 extra, like, overcap, even if you don't want to, right?
Yeah.
So it might actually be giga good, because the stats it provides are actually very good, you know. You guys like it, or?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting design. You could also combine that with something like the Forge Guard new node. It has basically you stack fire res with that node.
Oh yeah.
And you get less damage taken for fire based on your fire resistance, like based on the overcapped fire res.
Mm-hmm.
So you need like 475 fire res, I think, to max that node out, and you get 40% less damage taken for fire.
I wonder if this will cause
use
it.
This,
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you would use this body armor and then maybe like Orion Sai and stuff, so you have a lot of like less damage taken. So
yeah, I was saying that right now the game doesn't really have that designation of damage types that you kind of like gear around. But I wonder if they keep adding more pinnacle bosses. Like, imagine if in a year from now we have like a big fire dragon boss. You might actually, you know, items like this are gonna be like, let me just make a Forge Guard in trade who's just like a dragon killer, and you know, you just like face tank everything while everyone's getting burned to death, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at like people rushing on PoE with like the races that they have there, they tend to like build specifically their character for, like for one boss fight or multiple boss fight that have like 1 damage type or 2 damage type. I found that like really interesting, like personally.
I like it quite a bit. It's interesting. We'll see. It is a bit punishing though for builds that need that those extra levels, right? Because, like again, for a lot of melee builds, like if you have plus levels on chest piece, wow, do I have to go plus levels and I'm giving up on increased armor or whatever, or sorry, increased health? That doesn't feel as good. That's why I guess they give it 20%. But yeah, I don't know. When Titan Heart gives so much, right? It's yeah, and Titan Heart just gives you the 15% straight up. But this with a shield, it works with a shield, right? So...
Yeah. You can actually be so insanely tanky in the game, but the thing is, like, most people just care about damage mostly now. Like, you get the tankiness that you get, and yeah, but you could be so tanky. It's pretty insane.
What about the belts? Is there a belt? I don't think. I mean, this one is nerfed.
Yeah, Immolator's got nuked.
Yeah, not really any belts. Let's go for there's a few boots if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
At
least 2.
Okay, let's go. Gonna be in the bottom, I assume, or perfect. Okay, so first one's the Inevitable. Pretty fucking cool name, huh?
Yeah, the names are nice.
Yeah, very epic.
So, slow and chill immunity. Up to 9 vitality, up to 25 less damage taken while using a Racing Strike, and you cannot be stun immunity while playing a Racing Strike. Realistically, you're gonna get 2 LP on this bad boy. I mean, if you're playing a Bonker and you're going into a boss, I could see where you switch to these boots and then you just map with with Dark Stride. I could see these boots being used for, again, that very particular build.
Yeah. I mean, these boots are kind of like, you already know what you're gonna use them on because it says Erasing Strike. So in that way, it's a bit boring, but I mean, it's a good item for that purpose.
We have people in the chat wondering when we talk about getting Giga Tanky, could you get a bit into detail on that, Volka, on how you can get Giga Tanky in this patch? What do you think are the big winners of the patch?
Yeah, I mean, if we mean like actual tankiness, not like Profane Veil cheating, I mean, you do want to go something like, maybe you go for the Forge card, like I said, with the resistance stacking, max block effect, max armor, and like good HP pool. Maybe you go for that new body armor. You stack your resistance, like max fire, like
what stats are we talking about? How much block effect can you get? You think this patch?
You can get like 15,000 if you really max it out with all the buffs up from like Ring of Shields and all those things. So that's like way more than you ever need for the actual damage reduction. But
and
maybe,
I would
you play
assume
Shield Bash.
Yeah, I would assume you get like 6k health plus full armor, right? Full mitigation.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not 6k. I mean, depends what items you use and how much LP and stuff. But like the DR you can get is so crazy with these new items and the new nodes on the tree and stuff.
Yeah.
So
for sure, I think we're gonna see some crazy things. And again, I think a lot of people, because Word was so crazy last patch, a lot of people have forgotten that block is just broken in this game.
Yeah.
So I think block is gonna be a big winner on this patch, just because the other things don't shine as much. And you can combine it too. You can have both, right? So.
Yeah.
All right. Next boots. Venus boots. Razorfall.
Yeah, those are actually the fastest boots in the game, pretty much. So.
Yeah.
Any builds?
You can get like 50%. You can get like 50%, or I think 53% increased movement speed just from those boots alone.
Any builds that come to mind with Razorfall?
I mean, it fits almost anything because good, high movement speed, so it's good basically. But on Nova Hammerdine, for example, really great. So it has a lot of like aerial assault stats and things like this, but you just use it on anything. Like Nova Hammerdine, you put it on for the +2 throwing attacks, dexterity, boom, boom, boom.
Oh, true.
Yeah, this will.
It's really good.
This will probably compensate to the nerfs to aerial assault Shadow Dagger thing, right? With the with the proccing of Umbral Blades and stuff, and resetting the cooldown. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if once you get a lot of dexterity, this is gonna, like, let's just say you get 120 dex or whatever, which is easy.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of Umbral Blades exploding, you know, with the cooldown. You could get a pretty. It could be stronger than last patch basically with gear, which is good, right? You want to lower the base damage and put the damage into gear, the power into gear. Sorry, so.
Yeah,
I like it.
you also have like a lot of dexterity on it. So even if you don't play the Shadow Dagger build on Falconer, like just the dex alone is insane. Like,
Yeah.
Maybe we're gonna stop seeing every planner with Blood of the Exile, which is also like good, you know. Like
Yeah.
Blood of the Exile on every crit build, you know. Nice. Oops. All right, and we have Flight of the Quetzeri. Okay. 45% increased cooldown recovery for Fury Leap. I don't know. I guess you're leaping, bro. I don't know. Like, what is the build here?
It's just
leveling.
Yeah,
leveling
exactly. Yeah,
item,
leveling
no?
item. Yeah.
What level
That's it.
requirement it is?
13.
13. All right. For leveling, it's not horrible. Plus 1 evade charge, and we'll see. And then,
Like you can do. Yeah, go
sorry.
ahead.
No, you say.
You can do like there's a leveling build with Fury Leap where you go like guaranteed crit,
Yeah,
but they remove
the Quaker.
the like you just wait for your CD on Fury Leap and then you just use it and it like automatically crits with the unique amulet that you get from the quest.
Yeah, the gamblers. Yeah.
What is it called? Yeah, the Gambler's Fallacy.
That's some old school leveling when you could watch out everything. Remember?
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe
yeah,
it doesn't
even-
work anymore.
Vision.
Even if you're not using Fury Leap, it's got like a really high chance to get LP on it. Pretty much every character, I feel like, if you're leveling, you grab your Flight of the Quetzeri, your 2 Arboreal Circuits, get your Firestarter's Torch, and just zoom through campaign.
Yeah.
You get pretty much permanent haste with this, I feel like.
Yeah.
You're getting it on evade.
Yeah, that is true. And you don't have the need to go for Maelstrom, right? On every build for haste and stuff on Primalist.
Right.
People are talking about like that they feel like a lot of the items that are adding are kind of like promoting item switching, you know, where you use an item for mapping for speed and then you switch. How do you guys feel about it? Because I always felt, you know, I'm a min-maxer, so I want to min-max, but I also, it's quite annoying. So how do you guys feel about the entire item switching shenanigans?
I mean, it's not really like good design. Like, it's not something you want to really have in the game. At least if it's like kind of like mandatory to do.
Yeah.
So I would not want that in the game. So,
Yeah, same.
Yeah, pretty much.
I feel like that.
Yeah.
All right, stealth. Is this a hint to the greatest game ever made, or D2? What opinion on this item? Enemies put a lower priority on targeting you compared to your minions and other allies. 256 flat dodge and up to 1000 dodge rating while you use evade. Because remember, you're not immune while evading. Plus, you know, a bunch of smoke bomb points and increased dodge.
Minion item? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like you might want to use this if you're playing like ballistas or something, right? Where you are, it's kind of hard to get the HP and or maybe just some minion build, right? Where you're scared of like enemies that might just aggro you, and you just grab this, you equip it with the, like Chat is saying, with the shield that we saw before, the one that gives you a lot of worth based on HP, and you just like basically. You're literally trying to be invisible to enemies while your minions go to town. Like, could work.
Yeah, and you basically have the dodge roll from Dark Souls with this, because you have like capped dodge while you evade. So
you have like 80, like capped, right? 80% dodge when you do this.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what this item is for? It's for party play.
For the DPS guys. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure all the party boys, Empyrean and all the rest, are gonna do some cooking with all this.
Yeah.
They're playing a different game, bro. Like, all right, gloves. Oh no, these guys. Oops. Fingers of the Phantom Mire. Is the ones that give you Terrify instead of Evade. and more damage against feared enemies. You have swiftness, which is kind of like a movement speed buff, if I recall correctly. No?
Yeah.
And,
it's 20%.
The swiftness has 10 stacks, so I'm kind of curious if you get
10
capped
stacks?
swiftness with this.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure it does on Reaper when you get it from Reaper form.
yeah, but
it's a
this is
different-
different. This is
it's different,
different.
yeah.
And
I see.
and swiftness from Reaper is gone completely. So another nerf to Leech necessary. I mean, it's LP level 6, so you're gonna get 4 LP on these bad boys if you blast. More damage. I don't know. It's just like, do you want to again? Maybe it's just another boss switch. If you just wanna, if you're playing like a one-shot build where you just go in, fear, and bonk. You know, I don't know.
And you could also use it like for a Bina build, you know?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
zoom. Yeah.
I think this is the best slot for getting swiftness and removing the evade.
I just think I don't know. Removing a bait. I guess if you're so fast that it doesn't even matter, maybe. Like we'll see, no. Up for testing. We'll see. Amulets. There is a couple, no? Amulets. I could be presenting the wrong thing. Okay, so we have Nilis. Let's start with Nilis. That's probably my favorite item from the patch, honestly.
Yeah, that's a crazy item.
Like, I just love it. For those who are listening and are not watching the screen, Nilis is a new amulet. It's level 80, legendary potential 80, so it's gonna be pretty hard to get LP. It has an implicit that goes from 1 to 12 increased health and mana, up to -4 to 8% movement speed. So it can go negative or up to 8% positive. And it comes from 1 to 2 all skills, from -20 to 50% mana regen, to -10% to 20% more armor, -5 res to +15 res all resistances, and from 10% to 20% of your current health and ward loss when you evade, plus up to 4 seconds of frenzy after you use evade. So again, like chat is saying, this is pretty much omnis for builds that don't care about the penalty, no? For me, this is like the Lich item, basically. You get the +2 skills, which is amazing for Dead Seal and all these things, right? That really are point hungry. You don't really care about 10% current health lost. Like, you lose that just by existing, and with the amount of Lich you have. And again, this item can go negative, but it can also go positive. So if you roll high, this item can potentially give you, like, basically like a better Omnis, pretty much. And you get Frenzy on top of it, so you might not feel the need to spec Transplant at all. So
Yeah, it can go pretty much on any build almost. So if you just roll it well, so of course it's like a really like a lot of RNG to actually get a good one.
yeah,
But if you do get a good one, it's basically the best amulet in the game
I
for
think
many
so
builds.
too. Like the movement
And,
speed
like-
implicit, increase health,
Yeah.
increase mana. It's so.
And
If you high roll,
frenzy is so hard to get on some like overall just frenzy is hard to get.
Yeah.
So
and that basic 4-second frenzy is basically perma, right?
yeah.
And again, in Omnis, we were talking about this, right? In so many builds, Omnis, you don't even care about resistances because you have so many resistances from everywhere, from blessings, red rings, etc. So I could see a world where you go all res blessing, 2 red rings, and this 75 all res, just like that, you know. This is
I
gonna
think
be
that's something I really like about this item is the just the variance and the roll ranges. It's going to be an item that's not immediately solved upon dropping.
yeah.
Like a lot of uniques you can go after and think like, okay, it's got some negatives, but I can build like this and just completely offset. This item is going to be on like a case by case. You see it. I mean, sometimes you're going to get the negative rolls that are so bad that it's just like, okay, I can't use this.
Mhm.
But a lot of times, it's going to drop, and you're going to have to figure out like, okay, I do like this, but I have to figure out how to work with these stats. It's just something that adds a lot of like variance and puzzle solving to your gearing.
Absolutely. I'm thinking too with the changes of ward, right? Because before, when you had 100k ward or whatever, or 50k, or like you go, oh, I can lose 20% of my current health. You go like, whoa, this is. But now that you're gonna be sitting theoretically, like with the new formula, like between 10k around 10k worth. If you're playing a build, for example, like Glacier or Low Life, which can generate pretty much that amount of worth per second anyway, it's just gonna decay past 10,000. You probably don't even feel this, right? Because by the time you dash and you cast your skill another time, it's back up. You know, like you're basically filling up your thing without overspilling, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It just looks sick too. It has a sick name. It's it just looks so
it's
sexy,
amazing,
you
yeah.
know. Like I don't know. It's just a good item. Like
Bro, you know what? It's also really good for MG, like that kind of item.
yeah,
Like really powerful, has the potential to be like insane, but has like high roll ranges.
yeah. Sexy. I really like this one. Right, there is the sacrifice one, right? Or is it?
The sacrifice?
Is it a relic? Or an amulet?
It's a relic. It's probably a
Let's
relic.
go for relics
There's no
then.
new.
I think it's an offhand actually.
It's a relic.
Oh, it's a relic. Okay.
We have
Yeah, royalty.
There it is. Autobomber Lich or whatever, really, or Necro, no? I'm gonna read it for people in the chat. It's a relic. It gives increased spell damage implicit, pretty useless. I guess not for sacrifice, but +1 or 2 to sacrifice, and it reads: minions are automatically sacrificed every 2 seconds. If you have any mana, then from 50 to 80% of sacrifice mana cost is consumed. Otherwise, this cast of sacrifice deals 80% less damage, but it still goes off. And it still consumes mana. And it comes with up to 11 increased movement speed and 23 increased minion movement speed. Minions cannot be stunned and a bunch of mana. So I don't know. To me, it just comes to mind where like you Wandering Spirits for the mana generation, you spam Rip Blood to get a bunch of flat damage with the Rip Blood node, and you just auto cast Sacrifice on its own with like, you know, zombies and skeletons and all that generating mana every time they explode, and like, kind of like an auto.
Yeah.
You just spam Rip Blood and summon minions so they explode, and boom. Like this could be, in my opinion, especially with how powerful it's been in the past, the experimental affix, which has been nerfed, that casts zombies. This, in my eyes, has potential to completely break the game, but we will see.
Yeah, and maybe there's sort of like some kind of secret tech to have a loop that is getting crazier and crazier. I don't know. that kind of item, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, but dude, if it casts 50% of sacrifice mana, and all you do is spamming, for example, skeleton warriors, I'm pretty sure you're gonna generate mana, period, because you already could sustain with the old version of manual cast sacrifice. So if you roll this as a 50%, I'm pretty sure you can just like go to town. Like I don't know, this looks pretty. It's one of those that I'm sure a lot of the, you know, word enjoyers are gonna go ham on. You know, this seems like a very YouTube clickbaity item.
Yeah.
I like it. Looks sick too. It's called Cruelty. You know, edgy. I like it. Right, rings. Holy, there's a few.
Oof. Yeah, they're quite a lot.
All right, Phantom Grip. You want to talk about it?
Who wants to talk about the second line?
Yeah, I mean, the base crit is the best thing to me because, of course, I don't play minions. So it's a lot of minion stats, and then you have the 2% base crit on the ring. And it's also on the crit base. So, you know, could be interesting.
I mean,
Get
minion crit
free
chance, flat crit chance for yourself, and you then have the increased forged weapon duration with stats on your gloves applied to your forged weapons at up to 100% effectiveness. Dude, you get two of those on forged weapons.
Wait, Liz. You have increased mana. Can you get increased mana on the rings?
Only on the raised rings, and
Because those are like low LP, plus you get flat crit and increased crit.
yeah.
Could be good.
I mean, I think this item can easily replace items like Logi's Hangers for raids, for example. And again, like I think forged weapons are so overbuffed this patch, and they were already kind of almost there. So I
Yeah,
would
but the thing
do
is,
minions
bro,
OP. Like,
Forge weapons, like the hit version, is bad. Like it's the dot version that is good. So
Yeah.
this is just buffing like mostly like the flat is like 4 to 8. Like doesn't matter.
dude, you get
The flat rate
dude,
doesn't matter.
You get two of these, right? With tier 7 melee attack speed, with wing guards. Like, you understand your weapons can get from 2 of these rings and wing guards 300% attack speed, right?
Yeah.
Like, do the math. I'm
I think
sure
this will be
some.
one that's.
Yeah, sorry.
I think it's going to be kind of important to get LP on this. Like,
Mhm.
thinking about it as like mainly a necro player, a lot of your like kind of dump stats are going onto your rings, and you're already in a lot of cases using like ribbons of blood, for example. So you'll probably need this with LP before you can switch into it, even though the critical strike is like very appealing. But you're gonna need stuff like crit avoidance and any resistances that you're missing, like going into your ring slot. So there's gonna be like a lot of competition there. So you'll have to find this with LP so you can kind of like work those stats into your build still, like the critical things.
And plus, let's not forget, +2 to minion skills.
Yeah.
Remember, there's things like Swarmblade has the minion attack. Every minion possible ever, right? So I could see this just like for the +2, just going crazy, even in.
Yeah, I just look at the Wingard tech. Yeah, dude.
The Wingard tech you go Wingard tech with the new nodes on Forge Guard, and you get like a Giga Ignite weapon or whatever, or Split or whatever it is. And your weapons are like gonna be like, it's gonna be nuts, no? Like, I don't know, we'll see. And then crit could be good, by the way, just with that. So then you wouldn't go Wingards, right? But you get it. Karsin is the crop ring, okay?
Yes.
Again, this gives swiftness to all attributes, and minion armor, your armor, and you have swiftness, which is this movement speed buff. And instead of evading, you now summon crabs. Crab rape. I don't know. Meme item?
It feels like a meme, but who knows? Maybe the crab is like actually crazy, Who knows?
Maybe the crab is like Raid Lord, Like,
I mean, yeah, that's one free minion. That's one more minion that you can get.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, seems like a meme, but we'll see if someone cooks a crab build, no? I don't know.
Yeah.
Alright, the actual insane, finally, because they couldn't add this into the skill tree. They had to give you a shitty unique for it, Orion Sunseal. Basically, you want to talk about this item, Volka, yourself, since you're familiar with it?
Yeah. So, I mean, basically it gives you... Basically, like, it automatically casts Cities of Hope for you, so you don't need to manually cast them. So every 10 seconds, if you're above half mana, you cast sigils and you consume mana, and So as long as you have enough duration on the sigils, you should have at least 3 up all the time with this ring. But if you max roll it, you can even get like 4 all the time. So yeah, basically people hate the fact that you need to like keep up sigils, so you don't need to anymore with this ring.
Yep.
Pretty nice.
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, very, very useful, especially for builds that are just giga annoying. You lose a bit of power, but you get, a lot of quality of life. Again, playing builds in this meta where you can't go double red ring and all that, it's obviously gonna be that handicap. But I mean, in some builds that just don't need it, or you just go, I don't know. It's definitely one of those items that shouldn't exist, in my opinion. But it's gonna allow people to enjoy Sentinel by losing power, pretty much, because this is a loss of power, really. Or quality of life.
Yeah, it really depends. I mean, on some like really specific things, like Field Bash maybe, where you want a lot of like block chance and stuff, get and block effect. You really want to always have the sigils up, because just the block effect from those is so nice, and the block chance. So it like really depends on but like you really kind of also like don't want to use this on most builds, because you want a lot of LP and stuff. So
I think it depends on the build, right? If you're playing a build that can afford to have sigils on instant cast, for example. Again, or like chat is saying, I feel like this should just be baked into the tree, personally.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like I don't really like it when they do this, like, oh, let's fix this skill that dude, we should have had, you know, like the Maelstrom thing, the node, the no sé qué, something of Lagon, where you can stack like 3 of them, and then you click and you immediately get 3 of them or whatever. I feel like sigils should have a node like that if it's not this ring. But you know, it's opportunity cost. I mean, if you're playing a build that is very bottom intensive, or like a channeling build, for example, Warpath, right? Like, keep in mind, Warpath can now generate mana while spinning, so you could technically just have regular ass sigils without having to do the entire volatile reversal mana back stuff, right? So I think this item is gonna be popular just because people. I think the loss of power for most players is gonna be like so appealing just for the quality of life, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I agree.
And then we have Flames of Midnight. Evade is replaced by Spirit Step. We will see what that is. I assume it's like some kind of different dash. Maybe it. We'll see, right? When you directly. Sorry?
Okay.
Yeah, you go.
My guess was that Spirit Step actually summon a Wandering Spirit, because below it talks about like Wandering Spirits.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
When you
Spirit
directly
in
use a Fire, Necrotic, or Void skill, you create a Wandering Spirit near the target location with a 4-second cooldown. Okay, so you're spamming Spirit Plague with spirits, and every 4 seconds you get a, I don't know, okay. Ward gained each second per active Wandering Spirits. How many Wandering Spirits you can get, like 50?
A lot, for sure.
And Wandering Spirits base damage compared to Fire. I wonder if you go Wandering Spirits with the projectile, and then you grab the relic that gives you on Calamity and these things that would with fire skills, because technically they're gonna have the fire attack, right? So you might be able to do some sort of like, I don't know. I'm cooking too much. I'm overcooking. It's getting burnt. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, interesting, right? To say the least.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Relics. Are there any relics? Oh, we look at
just
already.
check.
Yeah.
Bro,
So
I'm just waiting for the BBC, you know.
Okay, let's start with it.
Oh,
Nice.
Since you seem very excited about this, Turek, you seem to be an expert on the topic.
True.
Do you want to talk about the new sword, Black Blade of Chaos, also known as
BBC.
the BBC?
The BBC, yeah.
Let's talk to me about it.
Yeah, this looks like it is gonna enable like a new playstyle with L'État Mirage, because you can actually like remove the cooldown of it, because you recover its cooldown on melee hit.
So it recovers its own cooldown, yeah?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So you use it, and while its own hits are already reducing its own cooldown. If it works like that, it's gonna be it's gonna be like Flicker Strike, you know, pretty much, or PoE?
Yeah, and it also increased like the it's not the attack speed, but it says that it's a much quicker attack. Yeah. So my guess is that you can probably like spam it like all the time.
I mean, Rogue and BBC, name a better combo, you know? Insane. It's gonna be a party up in here. Lots of melee lining and melee void damage. I don't know what the fantasy of this is, but fantasy. Yeah, okay.
Because you can convert L'État Mirage to lining. There is lining in the tree, but you'll probably use that with, I don't know, Shadow Dagger mostly, because you get like the implicit 170% melee crit multi.
Oh, with Penumbra rings, maybe, no? Penumbra rings?
Yeah, the Penumbra rings. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You get 2 of them, so you basically like spam Shadow Daggers.
That's good. I mean, pretty self-explanatory, right? This is one of those items that the build is cooked into the item, so I mean, not super interesting, but cool, no?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Right. Bowerinos. There's no Bowerinos?
No.
Staffs. Oh, this one is interesting actually. Celestial Doom. Celestial Doom. It gives it's a staff. It gives from 46 to 57 of mana spent gained as maximum mana for 5 seconds. So let's just say you're playing Glacier, right? You have, I don't know, 2k mana. You can basically get, if you spend all of it, right, on over the period of 5 seconds, which you could, you just get another 2k top of it, or well, up to 500, right? Is capped.
It's capped, yeah.
Yeah, it's capped.
Oh, also there is a change we haven't talked about on staffs and wands. Like they increase the range of the minus mana cost.
5 mana cost. Yeah.
This is actually gonna be huge for some builds, like for mana sustain.
Especially builds like that, right? What you were like still, oh, I'm 1 mana cost on my Riblot.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah, exactly.
Ikis. Alright, you cast Tomb Pulse, which is a proc. Every time when you directly cast a Fire, Cold, Lightning, Necrotic, or Void spell, but it has a 4-second cooldown for each spell type. So, I don't know, fantasy item? No, this seems like the Gaspar thingy, like Decimation, or whatever it is. Like, and then it has a bunch of scaling for the Doom Pulse itself, which seems to be a spell that I assume is going to have pretty high damage effectiveness. Some spell void damage, increased cast speed, ward decay threshold, and ward per second. Pretty huge numbers on all of them.
Actually, we know the damage effectiveness. It's 500%.
500%, yeah.
Yeah. Pretty good.
I'm thinking, let me cook, okay? Let me cook.
Yeah.
Celestial Doom with Sacrificial Embrace. Yeah, the item that gives you void damage, void pen, or I don't know what the fuck it gives.
Yeah.
And you go Glacier, targeted Glacier. Boom, boom, boom. I don't know. Like, I'm cooking. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. Next item, no? Pole arms. Oh, we have 2.
Pole arms.
To be honest, I haven't looked at this before. So, what are these? Anyone familiar with these ones?
Yeah, the Bane of Winter is interesting actually.
Okay, let's start with that one. Bane of Winter.
Yeah, basically you have a chance to cast Void Winter Bolts either with Javelin or a melee attack. It has a proc cap of 3 times per 2 seconds, so then you can scale the Void Winter spell. It's a spell, so you can scale it with like shield chance, you can get crit multi for it, and you can time rot chance, you can get more damage, but the values are like really low, so I don't know about those, but interesting thing is you get 40% of added melee damage applied as spell damage to cold and void spells. And you get 100% of cold damage taken as physical, so
no cold
you might wanna go like Morning Frost, stack Dexterity, because it's gonna double dip also the damage on that, because it's gonna be attack and spell damage. And you don't even need to care about the cold dress penalty that you get.
So it's like Bow Mage for beers or some shit? Like,
yeah, but the thing is like, I don't know how to actually like how do you actually play it? I'm guessing Javelin maybe you proc Smite also, but
yeah, Javelin procking Smite, procking the things, and you just build. You go like you get the spell damage for free basically by building damage. You go hit damage, no? And,
you go hit. Yeah. The spell has like 600% effectiveness, I think. So it's a lot. And what you could also do is, I mean, Forge Guard has the node that gives you throwing base crit per dexterity. So you could do like throwing damage and spell damage at the same time. So I don't know how that would go, but because you have a lot of flat on that, and that would also apply to the Javelin if you actually build it like that. So.
Well, definitely a fantasy item. No, we'll see. If the proc is really good and you can like kind of proc it very consistently, it might be like fun, and it's for sure gonna be flashy. No, this one has to be flashy.
Yeah.
So maybe a fan favorite for the Reddits and stuff. And Plague Dragon Stonk. So it's item required 57. It's a Dragon Slayer Glaive, the one with crit chance and fire res, and it gives 45 chance to summon a locust on hit with Serpent Strike. Max 3 per 2 seconds. We keep seeing this technology being used, right? Max 3 per 2 seconds to avoid, again, the caps, just to avoid abuse cases, right? Plus 7 to maximum locust. Increase melee attack speed. Increase attack speed, cast speed, and movement speed for locust. Melee physical damage for yourself. And 27 melee physical damage for locust. Up to plus 5 to poison skills. So you're just B Queen God or with Serpent Strike and stuff, or what is the fantasy here? Like I think I've seen Dread play a build like this where he just went Locust, Swarm, Army, Crit or something. Is this the play or?
I could see that being. I don't know how good it'll be, but I could see that being pretty fun to play around with, at least as a class fantasy, like using Serpent Strike through the Swarm Blade tree and just having massive locusts and trying to scale their damage.
B army, no? Like B guy. There's a couple items, no, that can give you also like stuff for bees and stuff. So maybe you just go like full bucks. It seems like fantasy item, but
yeah, putting the swarm in the Swarm Blade
I mean, the
could be fun to test around with.
The LP level is not too high either, 57. So again, and the stats are, I mean, 100. Basically, this has +5 to poison skills. Is, I mean, not bad, right? I guess can Harvest get poison attack? I think so, no?
I'm not sure.
And then you get 100 melee physical damage. And you get 27 increase at up to 47 increase melee attack speed. Plus, it's a good base. I mean, it's a couple of tier 7s in here just on value, no? So as a base, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure someone's gonna cook something. Maze time.
Okay.
Shall we like the bait of the patch? Item level 80 for those wondering. Event Horizon. Wanna explain this one?
Derek, do you wanna explain?
No, I don't wanna.
I mean, this maze. So basically, it's like a bonking maze, right? So you get a lot of penetration against all res with melee damage, so like 70%. That's nice. But the thing is, like, you get this like dilation stack, so 15% more melee damage per stack of dilation. It goes up to 10, so 150% more melee damage. But you also get less attack speed and less movement speed, less cast speed per stack, so 50% less of those speed stats. And you even get like more damage to slowed enemies. You get some movement speed back on the item, but not much. And you clear the stacks if you evade. So it's like a bonking item, but is it actually gonna be useful for like fun to play into like Monolith or just like regular gameplay with the less movement speed? Now that's a different thing, but maybe you just like swap it on for bosses, and you just like one shot the boss, and you go next. GG.
This definitely feels to me like it's the downsides of permanently using this item. It's so clunky and so weird that to me it feels like it's pushing into that item switch direction where you might be playing Judgment normally, right, with the gloves or whatever. And then you might just switch to this to literally do millions of damage because those builds already do that much damage, right? I don't know, maybe builds that don't care about being immobile. I don't know, for example, it says when you use a melee attack and hit at least one enemy. I'm thinking those things like riposte and like retribution on Sentinel work. Like, could you just like channel Rebuke, right, while you're basically scaling this, and then channel Forged, Smelter's Wrath? Like you just go in normally with the bait, and then you channel Rebuke, and during the Rebuke you're basically building up this. I don't know if it works like that, but people need to realize that the downside of attack speed, and especially the movement speed, it's like crazy. It's not added like 50% less that you could mitigate. Like if you have 100% movement speed on your character sheet and you reach 10 stacks, you're gonna have 10% movement speed, and you're gonna feel like you're glued to the floor. So
they put less, like it has so much damage, but at the same time such a big downside. Like I don't like those items where it's like all or nothing, and they kind of fall into a situation where you use them like for cheesing bosses or that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I understand what they're going for, right? For this big bunker, like the fantasy of I'm just like right? But in reality, like people are just gonna do item switches, and people are just gonna, I think, and it's just gonna be kind of like unhealthy for the meta. But we will see. Again,
there's a bunch of skills in the game that don't scale with attack speed, like channeled healing hands and like upheaval with that one node and stuff like that. But it might be a bait for those
Yeah,
builds.
but the minus cast speed does affect on the starting channeling speed. So you're gonna be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you're gonna be like, ceiling high, you know.
It should have been reduced instead of less.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I don't know. To me, it should have been reduced, and the more damage instead of being, 15% up to 10 stacks or whatever, it should have been like 5%,
Yeah.
20 less stacks or whatever, So you get like
Yeah.
a 50% more instead of. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
We will see. I'm sure someone's gonna. This is gonna be the kind of item, I think, where people post clips on Reddit where all they show is the bonk, but they don't show building it up.
Mm.
And then the noobs go like, "Wow! I want to play that
Yeah.
build, Lizard. When are you adding it to Maxroll?" I'm gonna be like, "You don't want this, Are you sure?" But we'll see. I mean, people were cooking with this, and a lot of my first impression was like, well, obviously, Vortex on Swarmblade, it's a melee attack that has a long duration, right? Like the Vortex. So I think a lot of people thought about this when they saw this item, when they teased it like a week ago. We're like, oh, I'm just gonna, build it up at the beginning of the map, hitting my own, like, what is it called? My own locust nest or whatever. Then I'm gonna cast the locust, transform into a werebear, dash, so I lose the time dilation, but the damage buff is snapshotted into the weapon. And I'm pretty sure that's probably the most useful and realistic way to play. But again, we will see.
It's not intended like.
I mean,
snapshotting like.
I mean, the ability just has a duration, right? And it just lasts long. What can you do? Should probably refresh every tick, but
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
World Splitter and Swordcatcher. Sorry, first. You like this one, no? Swordcatcher?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. So +6 all melee attacks.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing. But I mean, otherwise, I mean, it has parry chance. Cool, I guess. So you have a chance on parry to go to full HP and grant frenzy, but I mean, are you actually gonna get that? It's 13% chance to parry. I mean, maybe. You have effect of frenzy, and you also have melee damage while you have frenzy. So the melee damage while you have frenzy, that's gonna scale with the frenzy effect. So you will get more than 60 melee damage from that affix, but so it's like a decent amount of flat. +6 is nice, but I mean the base is depends what you're building. But for like a crit build, the bleed chance base is not the best. It's really like slow and stuff, but
yeah,
can be useful. Also like really high LP level 71, so not sure.
Yeah. We will see, no?
Yeah. Because for some skills, the +6 is kind of crazy, or like I don't know, EQ or even Rive, but really depends.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the frenzy and the increased effect of frenzy is also very nice for builds that have struggled to get it.
Yeah.
And again, the parry chance thing, I don't know, if you start getting parries and less damage, like, the new items that make it so you have chance to take 0 damage on the Wall of Nothing and how is it called? Which we haven't looked at, by the way. The weapon and some passive. I think I don't know. It might be a playstyle, but I think the +6 and the frenzy and the flat damage is just what's appealing, no? It's just like a big level 71, so you can actually get 3 LP on this, especially in MG. So this could be just a big stat stick, right? Where you don't really care about the other stuff.
Yeah.
And the chance to fully restore minion health also, I don't know, could be nice too if your minions are struggling in high corruption. Okay, World Splitter. Bonk. What do you guys think about this one?
Big bonk.
Yeah, it's another bonking weapon, I guess. So you get like area and crit chance for melee attacks per mana cost. So something like Erasing Strike comes to mind.
Yeah.
And maybe Judgment, but
52 increased mana. It is interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot of mana. It's like a mana stacker melee item.
Yeah, but I feel like this fits very well into like a Racing Strike mana well, or but I think it's a bait compared to Beacon, right? So
yeah,
Sure, it's gonna have a lot of AoE, but dude, Beacon or Erasing Strike, for example, which is what comes to mind when looking at this with Mana Well. The Beacon has literally 3 times the flat damage, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think Beacon is so much better for that particular build, the Racing Strike. But again, this might be good with Giga AoE Judgment or something. I don't know, like increased area for melee area skills per 1 mana cost. I wonder if you use the Judgment consumes mana note and you have a 1k mana. Is this gonna give you just like
Full screen AoE?
full screen AoE, or
I don't know.
I don't know if that mana is added into the calculation or the mana cost or no.
I think usually not. Like for example, on the marksman, you know, the node that increased the mana cost, and you have the node that gives you like increased damage depending on the mana cost of the ability. It's depending on the initial mana cost, not the one that you gain from like other passives. Like yeah, TLDR it probably won't work, I think.
Okay. I don't know, with volatile or something. We will see what people cook, I guess. People are saying in the chat that they think it doesn't work, so I'm sure someone's gonna cook something. Mana cost is a number on tooltip, okay, so it shouldn't work then. We skipped a body armor, so I'm gonna quickly go through it.
Wait. There was another.
Really?
There was another one. Yeah. The what is it called?
Axe?
Scales of a 200 axe. Yeah.
Which one?
The bone-looking one.
What?
Yeah.
One.
Is it not in the database? It's probably not in our database. Yeah, there's another one.
Monka?
Yeah.
We will see if it shows up. Someone can link it, I guess. Body armor. Wall of Nothing. Where is it? There it is. We skipped Wall of Nothing. So this is a chest piece. It gives up to 60% chance to take 0 damage when hit, just like the helmet that had 8%. Ward Decay Threshold up to 185, Endurance Threshold 185, and up to 85% of Endurance Threshold added as Ward Decay Threshold. I mean, you know, you combine this with the weapon, with the helmet, you know, the Yggdrasil, whatever it was called. Could be.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see now.
Yeah.
It's very high LP chance, so you're getting very similar to the other chest piece, no? The melee one. These two are 2 options for endgame and stuff for getting tanky. But we'll see. I could see this build being good for, again, like you're building like a mana tank with endurance or something, and then you go damage taken goes to mana with the helmet that makes your endurance apply to your mana, and doing some sort of like mind over matter without fracture crown, right? And you just go kind of hybrid where you have a bit of ward, a lot of damage taken goes to mana, and your HP full of endurance threshold, and you kind of like have those 3 layers of defense to go through.
A bit of everything, basically.
Yeah, and you can even pair this up with like Vessel of Strife too, right? So you go like full on good luck killing me vibes. Pretty cool. I mean, it's a cool name. it's cool names. Cool names are important.
Yeah, all of the uniques have like really cool names. That patch.
Yeah.
Talking about cool names, we'll get soon to the coolest name. You know, the new axe. But first, 100 daggers. Traitor Stonk. What are you thinking?
I mean, it's parry chance again. So is parry good? I mean, maybe. But the base crit is pretty nice if you have this on your offhand. So yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's a pretty simple item.
+2 to all skills.
I think that's it's dexterity and int skills.
Dexterity and int.
Yeah.
So you get +4 on harvest.
True. But you need to use the weapon for it.
Or Shatter Strike, and these are also dex and int, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you wouldn't get the crit chance.
Yeah, you can't use it on the offhand.
Parry, bro.
Yeah.
Parry, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see, no? Intelligence and dexterity. Is there a minion with that? So you could actually benefit from the parry? I don't know if there's a dex int minion. I don't think so. I mean, this very generic. We will see what they do, no?
Yeah.
Okay. Wants. Just this one. Tribo Electra. So this is the Autobomber static orb build. Basically, it makes it so every time you evade, it casts static orb. So again, my idea when I read this is like, okay, you go this, you go, you build, what is it called, the Nova thingy, sorry, the Spark Charge node. So you make it cost 40 mana, and then you just hope it procs a lot of spark charges everywhere while you're like kind of mapping. But so I don't know. It might be a pretty cool item for zooming on low corruption for casuals and just chill. Kind of like the how bringing back the static orb that spins around you that got nerfed back in the day. I don't know. Looks cool, no? It's not bad. +3 to lightning spells too. I mean, I think just in a world where wrong wrap exists, though. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, why would you use that?
Yeah.
Like,
well, if you
so
want to
much
play the
worth.
build, right? If you want to play static or fast boy. We'll see. I'm sure someone's gonna cook something with this. One-handed swords. There's a couple or what? Okay, so we have the Raptor sword. Melee damage for you and your minions. Increased movement speed for you and your minions. +2 to all melee attacks. +2 to all melee minion skills. Smaller raptors. Up to from 42 to 47 less raptor damage. And you can summon raptors up to your companion limit. So basically, squirrels, but raptors. No?
Yeah, pretty much.
So what are gonna be the main the main difference between squirrels and raptors is, well, squirrels don't need to ramp up over time, because you just basically the damage they do is just kind of instant, right? After you do your frenzy warcry swipe combo. Others raptor is more of like they go into a kill spree and they keep buffing themselves, and they can't really do that versus single target. So assumption is squirrels better for bossing, raptors might be better for mapping, and I mean, again, I wish this raptor stuff was just like added into the tree and not, because it sounds like another way to, I don't know, kind of like.
It's kind of like the same thing as with the Sigil's ring, like just add it on the tree.
Yeah, and raptor was playable before with the revive axe thingy, the Akirs or whatever it's called.
What was the build?
Yeah. You can push.
What was the build?
What was the build is like you
Yeah.
take the nodes where the raptor deals more damage per missing health, and then you get you get a single raptor, and when the raptor gets revived by the axe, and he just gets a bunch of 100 flat damage every time he revives or something. It's kind of niche, but yeah. We'll see. I'm sure raptors is gonna be popular because Jurassic Park is cool, so you were
just from the flavor standpoint, having a pack of raptors is gonna be pretty popular.
Yeah, I mean, raptors are. Who doesn't want to play dinos? It's just cool. So might not be the best, but I think fantasy-wise, it's just gonna be popular. Balagrus Sacred Light. So this has been teased before, right? It's the smite sword for melee hit.
Yeah.
And people are theory crafting to play it with Warpath, to play it with this, to play it with that, to use it on dot builds for the extra procs. I'm sure it's gonna be popular. I could see this for leveling being pretty nice too, just because low level 6, you put it in and you just start casting smite basically for free. Because I would assume even if you don't have smite unlocked, you would still cast it, right? Even if it's unspec'd. So I could see it being pretty decent. Build electrify on smite and then get the electrify on conversion for Sorry, the javelin gives electrify to your melee attacks. You could make a pretty good dot build with this, I feel.
What do you guys think about leveling with this versus like a fire starter's torch? Like maybe even on something that doesn't have a smite skill tree.
I feel fire starter is just king, no?
Yeah, Firestarter is much better. This one is more for the fantasy of it, because yeah, like, okay, you're gonna cast smite, but what about your spell damage? Like, maybe you need like legendaries. With legendaries, it's probably like insane. But
I mean, you can get 4 LP for sure on this, so that's good. But you can on Firestarter Torch. So.
I mean, it's always like, okay, you can get 4 LP, but are you actually gonna farm for just to get 4 LP for like leveling a twink? Like, I don't know.
It's happy accidents, happy accidents.
Yeah.
Cheap on merchants. I don't know. We'll see. We have Euron's Penance. 4% of cold damage leeches health. 100% of mana strike base damage converted to cold, which you can also do in the tree. And Fury Leap base damage converted to cold. Okay. Chance to chill on melee hit, freeze rate per stack of chill, and cold penetration. I mean, cold mana strike burst damage, but Fury Leap. What is happening?
I mean, it would be cool to make like a Fury Leap, like Leap Quake build, I guess. But are you actually gonna do it? I don't think so. I don't know.
I don't know this one. I mean, the freeze rate per stack of chill, now that it got nerfed on other sources like Ocearon and stuff. It's valuable if you're playing a freeze build, right? But I don't know. I mean, maybe for Frostbite, no? Frostbite build. Like, I could see this for Swornblade. You get 4 LP on it, or 3 LP on it. You get increased dodge. You get increased attack speed, and you just go to town with Frostbite. No, like that's the main use I can see for it.
Is there like any build that cannot get access to like cold damage leech? Because it's not even melee cold, it's just generic cold.
Tome of Morditas gets cold leech, and then everything that gives elemental leech, like Tome of Elements and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what you would do with that.
I think Frostbite Swarmblade is really good with this.
Okay.
It's really fast though, no? 1.16, so attack speed and just 34 cold pen. Now that they nerfed the boots, it's also kind of valuable. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know, fantasy item. Scepters! Okay, so we have the parry item, no? Void Cleave is now instant, means instant cast, you don't have to interrupt to cast it. And Void Cleave no longer has a weapon requirement, and it creates Ravaging Aura white Void Cleaves that last additional 12 seconds and have 40% Void penetration. It has a bunch of increased damage over time, up to 285, increased area for area skills, and 20 Void penetration. So total of 60% Void penetration for Void Cleave, Void Aura, Cleave Aura, whatever it's called. Ravaging Aura is called, yeah. And 65 spell damage. So, I mean, this is just for that build, no? Like, where you just go the Vengeance stuff with the Ravaging Aura, and you could even just make it kind of auto-bomberish, no? With just, like, dashing around, and this thing just does this thing.
I mean, you could also try to do something like a warpath build, like fire warpath. I mean, you just convert Void Cleave into fire, and then it's gonna be instant cast while you spin. And you maybe it does damage. I mean, who knows? But because you can also get like fire pen for the warpath. If you have a scepter, and it happens to be a scepter, so you have this and some other weapon. And,
okay.
Yeah.
It's hooking. It's in the oven. It's in the oven. Okay.
It's in the oven.
Well, you hear it here first. That sounds good.
Yeah,
okay.
I have no idea how good it would be, but yeah.
Maces, nothing. Which means we go to the best item of the patch. Do you want to talk about this one?
Holy.
52.
Now this item is pretty crazy. so it's an axe, but it looks like a shield. So technically you can dual wield shields with this. Because of course you use this in a shield, and it has a bunch of flat damage for shield bash and shield rush. So that already kind of tells you what to use it on, and even has block chance on an axe. So that's nice. Increased block effectiveness, which is like basically impossible to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically like multiplies your block effect. So that's 40%. So basically 1.4 whatever block effect you have. So I mean 85 HP gain on block also is actually not bad.
Especially when you're
blocking
gonna
all the
be
time.
so tanky with full block,
Yeah.
full armor, full everything,
Yeah.
you know?
So, you don't play shield bash without this item, basically. So, must have.
So sick, no?
Yeah, it's really nice. Also, it's like, it's common, I'm guessing. It's, 1 in 7 rune of ascendance. It's like 52 potential, so easy.
I used to play Smite, and there used to be this character called Cabrakan who had 2 shields, and just smashed, like, boom.
Yeah.
So this is my fantasy, you know? Me smash. I don't know, this item looks crazy, especially with the new shield bash 3, right? Like, we can go over it very quickly, maybe, but then the new shield bash 3 just looks kind of crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Sentinel.
There's also going to be like a niche use of that unique, because now with that unique, you can have like 100% block chance on any character, no matter what.
Yeah.
If you sacrifice your weapon.
Well, so shield bash is just gonna be crazy. Now they added this node that gives it like damage per block effect, the multiplier per strength.
So, just stack a block effect. Actually, let's see the. I think the batch nodes were missing some things, like the attack speed node on the right side.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, so it gives you 50% attack speed, so based on your block chance, but with max block you get 50% attack speed, so that's really nice, because shield bash doesn't scale with attack speed at all, usually, so that's really nice.
Bonk,
then you have,
bonk.
Yeah, exactly. then on the, like, below you have the strength node also.
Yes.
That one, yeah. So
More
I think
physical
that also
damage per strength.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I think that also was mistyped on the
Yeah, it's
patch
set
notes.
1 per 4, and it's 1 per 1. So
Yeah, 1 per 1, yeah, so stack strength, stack block effect, and that's GG.
yeah, that's
And
like
I wonder if you're ever gonna die. Like, you even get stun chance there actually, so that's nice.
and you get the full block too, the block effect. Like
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, the strength node doesn't convert to fire scaling, so it's yeah. So
Physical.
you're basically locked into physical. But it's the true Giga Chat element, physical
True.
double shield.
True. That's really cool.
Is that the Uber boss killer?
It's one of them.
Giga Chad
Holy
max
man.
block.
I'm assuming you need some gear, because you need block effect to actually scale the damage and stuff. But yeah.
So cool. Shall we quickly go over what's left of the patch notes quickly? Just summoning, like, I don't want to get this too long, but just like highlighting some of the stuff. We talk a bit about the nerf of Stormblade, like to compensate for the Event Horizon combo that we were talking about. Upheaval, a lot of very inconsequential small buffs here and there, right, for a lot of skills. Warcry got a pretty interesting change where it has longer cooldown now, but it's easier to access the 5-second cooldown, which is nice. Rogue, do you want to talk, Terek, about the Rogue a bit and Shadow Daggers as a whole and so on?
Yeah, they changed a bit, like some stuff around like Shadow Daggers, because now with Umber Blade, which was like the easy skill to proc Shadow Daggers, you only get like 40% chance on hit with the spinning blades. So the playstyle where you were like basically dashing and leaving behind like blades that were spinning, I don't think it's gonna be like optimal now, because you can still get like 100% chance to apply the Shadow Dagger with the explosion. So what you would do is like you play the explosion version of the Umbral Blade, but you also get like a threshold in one of the passive tree nodes in Blade Dancer that gives you like 50% more damage to bosses. So now it's actually, I think, more damage to bosses and
50%.
a tiny bit less like speed in terms of gameplay.
Less crazy on speed and a bit of help on bosses. And again, I've seen a lot of people toy with puncture to get that extra damage for bosses, Gonna be cool. Overall, Falcon nerfed here and there. Elavaros, big buffs through the marksman changes. Multishot got a bunch of changes, which basically makes it so multishot with flurry hit version is not gonna be as good, and we're kind of pushed into dot pretty heavily if you want to go for flurry combo. And if you want to go self-cast, a lot of the nodes that give more damage to hits, only work for direct uses, so we'll see.
I think also the Falcon dive bomb build is still gonna be like super OP. Like.
Yeah. It's got a bunch of changes, right? How crit scales with it, and a lot of nerfs on. Basically, they capped everything that was uncapped, like the trap node, the damage effectiveness from your own damage node, the crit multi doesn't work anymore with bow crit multi. So it's gonna be quite substantial nerf, but also bosses don't have the R, so it's probably gonna feel pretty similar. We'll see. Sentinel.
Yep.
A lot of buffs, really good. Obviously, in our eyes at least, Shield Bash, big winner, and Forge Weapons. Again, I haven't theorycraft anything precisely, but based on what I'm seeing, it should be good.
Yeah, I mean the fact that now they have more like base health is good, like for early leveling.
Well, people are talking about Judgment. Is Judgment dead? I don't think so, right? It's just gonna be less reliant on the mana interaction, no?
Well, what is the change to Judgment? I didn't see.
They nerfed how it scales with the mana, but quite a bit. I think it used to be 2 to 3, now it's 3 to 1 or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think it's still gonna be pretty decent, honestly. It just used to be so broken. So. And that build got screwed by damage reduction before, because you would tick the bosses and then bomb, it would... So, I don't know, maybe hit version of Judgment is just the way to go, with Event Horizon bonking, who knows. Healing Hands, anyone wants to add something on Healing Hands? Obviously this was crazy with the word. Someone wants to explain how it works now with word, or...
I mean, you just get way less like healing conversion to ward, basically. You get 20% instead of all of it. So, and you also get way less upfront healing. You get, so it's just like reduced the healing overall and the ward conversion. Seems like the bug for the I can't remember the node name, but that one node that scales with like healing effect or something for ward, I think it's still bugged, so it doesn't give you the correct amount. But yeah,
we will see.
It's the one that gives like I think it's like a percentage of your ward again, like or something like that. I don't know. But for me, like for leveling, healing ends is like still like giga OP. Like you literally cannot die on a sentinel.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
Judgment, Consecrate the Ground. No, still. I mean, they nerf some stuff, but they also buff some stuff. So I don't know. It should be less mana dependent. No, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Manifest Armor, Rive.
Yeah, Rive got a big nerf, you could say, with the Flamebringer's Blade. It's capped now at 20. But I mean, it was just completely stupid OP, that node, because you could get like thousands of physical penetration. So now you instead get 60% physical pen. So
is Rive dead?
Rive is not dead. You just need to build it differently now. So you go void damage most likely. But like the physical node, you still kind of wanna take it, but you don't have points for it really. So like you need so many points. But it's not dead. It's not dead.
Shield throw, kind of like not enough, no? Still.
Yeah, same for javelin. Javelin shield throw, just not enough. Yeah.
It's on the right direction, but it's just in comparison to other stuff,
Yeah.
Shield Bash, we already talked about it, right?
Yeah,
but absolute cracked. The idols are gonna work differently. In theory, for the abuse cases, it's a nerf, but for most cases, it's a buff, actually.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And it's actually really nice for something like Bleed Hammered in, where you only want to use one idol. Yeah. So now you get like a high chance.
Just to get the attack speed buff and call it a day, right? Or whatever.
Yeah, and you even apply like really good bleeds with that, so...
We talked a bit about the passive changes on Warlock, right? Overall, just more reasonable power now on everything. Spellblade, insane changes, especially the stuff that gives you crit now, no?
Yeah, the crit chance is insane now. Like, because it also gives you basically you scale, you get like 8% increased crit chance per dexterity, but you gotta keep in mind that dexterity also gives you flat damage, so it's like at least on Shadow Strike.
Yeah, on some builds it's like triple dipping or some shit. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. It's really good.
Really good. We talked a bit about this earlier, so. Rune Master, well, reality check for all the RM players, you know, with Cold Fire Cold, and well, again, I was talking earlier in my stream how like the branded boss used to be uncapped and gave 28 ward, right? And now it gives 100 every second. So from giving you 20k ward while spamming Frostclaw to giving 100 per second, you know?
Yeah. Some of these nodes have like such massive changes that it's
and this is what I mean when we talk about like, guys, some of these things are not worth covering really because they're gonna last a month, right? And this was one of them, right? Like, it's so obvious that this is what the game is supposed to be like. So if you see something uncapped that is giving you 20k ward, you're not a genius, it's just an oversight. Okay, relax. We're not dumb, we know it too, we just don't really want to invest into something that's broken. Alright, Sorcerer, big winner now of the patch, very interesting tree now. Archmage, great, lost knowledge, nerf, but still powerful, you know.
I think the mastery bonus might be like the best in the game. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
the
50% more damage. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, really good.
True. Crazy.
It's really good. It used to be so useless too. Holy, you know. A lot of potential with the damage taken goes to mana thingy, right?
Yeah.
Where is it?
What are you looking for?
The mana tank, mana bulwark. It grants 2% of damage taken from mana before health per point.
Oh.
So again, you combine this with the new helmet, the Yggdrasil helmet, and you know, and the new amulet, and which gives mana and all that, and you know, and the Wall of Nothing, and all of these things, and you can get some pretty big EHP numbers. Pretty good. I really like the Sork. It's probably, if I would have to guess what's gonna be the most, they probably need to turn things down just based on patch notes, is probably Sork, no? But we'll see. Beastmaster, finally on Primalist. The tax is gone. Finally, we've been freed from this tyranny of aspect of the boar, you know.
Yeah.
So much better now. Like, holy.
Yeah, and it's actually a pretty nice buff for Beastmaster when you think about it.
Yeah.
That's the only one that can get the melee hit boar.
And it's better than before too, right? Because now you get the regen and you can actually profit super reliably, and it's real. And the pathing to get there is much better, right?
Yeah. I like the health regen for your companions as well, like the threshold, the natural fortitude.
Yeah, it's good overall. I'm really happy with this, and I'm really happy with the Berserk change in general. So it's not just for low life. You actually get a lot of value now from bruiser builds that want to go in and want to get hurt and want to brawl, right, with lifesteal and stuff. So nice. Well, Shaman, a lot of attunement thresholds with the regen and endurance threshold based, seems like, and some dodge, and kind of like a weird build where you kind of like go away of HP per se and you focus more on regen, endurance threshold, and dodge. Kind of odd way to build, but I'm sure people are gonna figure out some hybrid builds, you know, where you go full endurance, best of strife, bunch of regen, and I don't know, you for sure gonna cook some stuff with this. But again, it might look kind of weird to get used to compared to like the most straightforward builds where you just go HP or ward and that's it. Very interesting to see what people do. I'm not a super shaman player, but I don't know.
I like the node that gives like 10% increase to time duration. I think that's the only source in the game.
Yeah. Well, aside from the trees themselves, right? On Storm Totem and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think there's a node that gives it like lining, more minion lining or lining penetration or something. Like, kind of hard to find.
I don't know.
More spell damage per point while you have a totem. That's pretty nice too.
Avatar of Thunder. Yeah, it's in the middle.
Avatar of Thunder. Adder of Thunder has a threshold which grants 2% spell lightning penetration for you and your minions per 5 attunement. So again, you get 100 attunement. That is a lot of pen for Storm Totem and Crows, and attunement is now gonna give you things, right? Like health regen and endurance threshold and things like that. So we'll see. You know, Shaman, yikes. Blade Dancer, notable the the more damage to Shadow Dagger and the Death's Door thing, right? Just like Berserk, so it's gonna work with HP builds. And Marksman got a bunch of buffs. Are they enough, Volka, fellow Marksman player?
I mean, it's like getting there, right? You get more damage on concentration, you get less hit damage taken on concentration, you get like just like bow damage instead of bow physical damage. But I mean, it's better, but I don't think it's gonna be like a top class, but it's pretty okay, you know.
You can't use the tech with the elemental arrows anymore, no, for the free elemental res. Because it has been replaced with the grants 15 wards gained per point.
Oh yeah, true.
Instead of the 1% elemental res per arrow.
Yeah. A bunch of more multipliers, right? Concentration, ethereal arrows. I think the biggest winner of the patch, honestly, is whole Hell of Arrows, which was already, like, in my opinion, like very good, if not the best. But I think really good changes in the right direction, but just not enough, you know. I think we need to see. I wish they just give marksmen more sources of silver shrouds. Like, I feel like you should be able to generate silver shrouds like a madman, you know, like literally silver shroud chance on fucking bow attack or something, you know, like. And because if it's gonna be this squishy and it's gonna be, you either give it like giga damage or you give it some sort of like being at least slick and a bit more ninja like, or because at the moment unless you build Giga Tank Hell of Arrows, it's kind of hard to get tanky on a marksman. So
I don't see any like really good builds on marksman except like Blast Ray and Hell of Arrows, really, unless there's something new, but at least like...
And again, when we say good, we're talking pushers, right? Like 1k corruption and stuff, like not, because obviously you're gonna be able to play everything you want in Last Epoch, right? It's not that punishing of a game, but maybe people's perceptions change, right? With the new Pinnacle boss, maybe that's what's considered viable, being able to defeat that boss. So.
Yeah.
All right, Sentinel. We kind of already go through it. I think Time and Faith, 2% of missing health per point. Dude, if you get a lot of health, it's nice.
It's pretty good.
Especially if you build a shit ton of attack speed, right? Like holy, you know, you're gonna be. Recovery is the name.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that this is like early game is basically gonna be similarly strong when you have like 200 HP or whatever, but it's gonna scale so well with gear, right? I much rather have nodes like this than nodes that just give you a flat value that you can't scale at all.
Yeah.
Well, we already talked about Forge Guard when we talked about Shield Rush and stuff, but
the mastery bonus of Forge Guard is, I mean, it's okay, but you can compare that to like the new Sword Mastery. So
what would you give it?
I mean, because the thing is, like, you don't need more armor. Like, you have max armor anyways, right? So it would have to be something completely new, and then it's like, I mean,
less damage taken, bro. Easy.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
You know what they're gonna give it? Less damage taken per minion you have. Okay.
Oh no!
Insane. Hey, that's my build.
No, please. Maybe something as simple as, if it's gonna be like the big bonker, you know, they could literally go for something like, crit multi per strength, or bleed duration per strength, or something kind of a bit more damage oriented, because the defense it's not really the problem. Or maybe even give it like 50% of armor applies to damage over time. Boom, you know.
It has a node
like
how nice would that be? There's a new node inside of it with attunement,
but imagine if you're in the campaign and you became a Forge Guard and you just got that straight up. It would be such a nice, you know, and not to mention you wouldn't have to gear for it. I don't know. I will see. Any other ideas on this?
I mean, it's like a really tanky class, so it's good for certain things like shield bash, but and like Nova hammered in with the or any kind of like throwing crit build with the new node that gives you flat crit per dexterity. So just get like items with like all attributes like mountain boots and stuff. Yeah, so you get free dex and free
crit.
base crit for throwing, which was usually like really hard to get. So
and Void Knight, really, I mean, only 2 changes, but holy fuck, they're good, really nice.
More damage and more HP. It's nice.
Yeah, really nice. Again, this if you're building HP, like it's a lot of HP over a period of time.
Again, and the more damage is nice because like the increased melee void damage for loading. Like, what are like void melee skills that are good for loading?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Rife.
Yeah. You can't even convert Rive, so.
Well, you can add it void damage, through vitality or something, but.
Yeah, but it's never gonna add the tag. Like.
All right. A few changes on boots. We've seen them when going through, the regular items. We talk about the wand implicit changes, up to -5. Really, 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 really nice. Chat is asking. By the way, from 1 to 10, how much ward was nerfed? I mean, according to the numbers, what if the top ward used to be like 100k? I would say now the outliers, based on the formula, are probably gonna be in the 10 to 15,000, and we're talking the top, right? Because the formula, again, in paper, right, we'll have to see and test. But the formula seems really aggressive after 10,000, to the point where is it even worth trying to get more, basically, because it's just gonna instantly disappear. So if based on those numbers, like, if you compare the most extreme case of last patch and the most extreme case of this patch, probably like around 75% or something nerf. No, sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big nerf, basically.
But it's actually a buff for non-exploit builds. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So
like some ward builds might even get buffed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think, for example, if you're playing like a Necro with low life or Fireball with low life or whatever, you're gonna be able to see it at 8, 10k ward on low life, which is something that last patch it didn't look so good because you were comparing it to Healing Hands, but it should feel actually pretty nice, especially if you're comparing it to Twisted Heart setups, right? Which probably struggle to even get there. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Buffed. I talked also this on during my stream, but suffixes have been buffed. Health regen, armor, and flat health and increased health buffed.
There is one that is impactful. It's the added block chance. I didn't see that before.
Yeah.
They added 1%, which was the missing percent. Like, because before, if you didn't have any like increased blood chance in your tree, you were like stuck at 99%.
And
now you can actually get to 100%.
Yeah, with the Apocalypse Shield, no?
Yeah.
Nice. Hybrid health not buffed, which means maybe in some builds, increased health is actually the tier 7 you want to go for on belts and things like that. Which I think it's great, right? The fact that you actually have to think a bit, how much flat do I have? Is it worth this or that? Great. Buff to melee implicits. Great. It's good. I don't know, is there anything really, really important that we should mention? Unique items, I guess. Is there anything that has been like giga nuked?
I mean,
other
Blood
than
Roost is like less bleed chance for the Falcon on Blood Roost on the gloves. There's a bunch of like Bleed Falcon nerfs, but it's still gonna be good. So
still gonna be really good, yeah. Eye of Rin only happens on direct melee attack, so Jecklors. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And talking about Jecklors, well, the same happens to the knife, right? The flat damage doesn't apply at all unless it's direct use. So again, Jecklors, pretty big. And then Frostbite Shackles, big nerf for the word retention, boys. You're gonna get half of what you used to get. So my guess is that now with the new curve of word, probably not even necessary for word builds anymore. Just go, if you're playing an int build, unless you're playing like a rogue low life or something, where you probably still go shackles. For int base builds, I think you can ignore Frostbite completely, which is probably good. Immolator belt. You want to talk about this one?
Yeah, I mean, we did talk about it a bit, but it's, I mean, used to give you 240 flat damage, now it gives you 60. Oh, actually 40. So 40, so it's, yeah, 1/6 of the flat damage. So, you know, simple nerf.
Funny.
And, I mean, this version of Torment, where you just, like, spammed Immolators and then snapshot the Fissure, it's basically gone. It's not gonna do damage anymore. Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty nice. Ocearon, a bit of damage reduction, kind of nice to compete with Red Rings, right, in certain builds, but probably not enough, we'll see. Snowblind, we talked about it. Talons of Valor, which is the dive bombo, a bit nerfed.
Wings of Argentus.
Wings of Argentus, actually LP viable now, reliable. Raid Lords, I thought this was capped. But
it seems like it's not.
But I think it's a typo. Someone has to confirm. Like,
No, but it can only consume 5 minions at a time.
does that
I don't
matter?
know what that means.
Like,
I didn't play that build, so I don't know.
is Raidlord dead now? I thought it was until I read this. So we're gonna have to check. Because I swear to God, talking with some devs during these weeks, and when I asked about it, I thought it wasn't supposed to stack, but now it seems like it does. So I guess from here, it seems still good from here. But it might be way more clunky to play because unless you play it like a bit more healthy, I don't know. We'll see. Wrong wrap doesn't work on bosses. Great to avoid cheesing, right?
Oh.
And yeah, just that's pretty much it, right? Enemy balance, who cares? Like, all right. Main takeaways of the patch. I'm gonna start with you, Vision. What are you most excited about?
Well, like I said earlier, like the Nemesis stuff, adding some variance into the whole gameplay loop through campaign and in-game is going to be really nice. The dynamic damage reduction changes. I think the ward changes will feel pretty good too for like a lot of builds that want to try hybrid defenses. And I think there's just a lot of that in this patch in general, where they kind of are trying to nudge things toward a center point. And I think we're still... I don't even know if it's possible to reach that point where everything's that closely balanced, but we're getting there where like a lot of stuff that couldn't really compete with some things can be more viable now, and a lot of the like builds that are like abusing different like uncapped mechanics are being brought down a little bit more. And I think that feels nice. Just with Last Epoch, it's such a good just like build making sandbox that the more things that can compete and reach like some sort of middle point where it feels good to play it, I think that's good. And I think this patch does a lot of that just in terms of like skills and itemization. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think this is an LE nerd favoring patch where there's going to be so many more builds to try out and test, and it's going to feel good doing that.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a patch where veterans are going to be really appreciative, but someone who maybe just came and play Giga OP builds is going to be like, maybe it kind of like goes over their head and they don't realize the amount of work that has been put.
Right.
We will see. I wonder how Reddit is receiving the patch notes. Because there's a lot of good stuff, but I'm sure there's going to be the classical Jacklor's dead, Frostclaw dead, Shadow Dagger's dead, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, we'll see. What about you, Tarek? What are you the most excited about?
I really like the change to boss DR, but also like evade. Like personally, for me, like I do speedrunning and stuff, so I do a lot of like optimizing, like methodical gameplay, that kind of stuff. And I think it's gonna have another dimension to the game. The new dash ability, the evade. What is it called again? I don't even remember.
Dash.
Yeah, I don't think that's called like evade roll or something like that. I don't know. This plus the balance, of course, like changing so much stuff. It's really cool. We hoped it was done at 1.0, but I mean,
it is what it is, bro.
It is what it is. What else? The Yuba boss. Actually, doing races now is interesting because we have like a good goal, like for a race. Like before, we had like Shade of Orobis. What else? Maybe arena waves. I don't know. Like it was kind of abstract or meaningless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you, Volka, what are you excited about?
Yeah, I mean, I really want to see the pinnacle boss. Like we actually have like maybe like a challenge with that, you know. So at least for a while. So it's gonna be nice to see and like do the boss and everything. Because we have no idea what it looks like. You know, I guess we saw it in the video, but that's all. So would be nice.
Okay.
I'm gonna see that.
Before we finish up, how long till someone kills it in SSF hardcore? In days.
Depends on how hard people are gonna go. I would say like 2 days.
So is that by Thursday?
It might be. I don't know how many people are gonna play hardcore. Like honestly.
In hardcore, yeah.
Yeah.
I just think, dude, the new progression, because we're gonna zoom so fast with glyphs and the new.
Everybody's gonna die.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Yeah,
you're
that's the
definitely
thing,
gonna be
people are gonna
weaker,
die.
right? In theory.
Yeah.
So. Well, I guess we're gonna see, right? Are you guys gonna be playing hardcore, softcore? Where can people find you?
I'm gonna play softcore solo. It's just more fun for me.
Okay, cock take. Okay, but you can find
Yeah.
Volka and his amazing builds there.
Holy.
Are we starting Shield Bash, or are we waiting for a second build on that?
I think that's more of a second build.
Yeah, till you get the unique and stuff.
Yeah, the unique is like a must-have for sure. So, I might start Torment. With a new version of it.
Meta cuck. I see.
It's so fast, dude. You can't. It's so fast.
All right. What about
Yeah.
you, Tarek?
Hardcore, my man. Hardcore.
Okay.
Hardcore, COF, solo mode, Giga Chat. That's
Insane. What are you gonna be starting?
I still don't know.
Uh-huh.
I have no idea.
Yeah, me neither.
Probably,
actually, I actually have no idea. Like,
we were talking about Warlock. Like we need something that is like strong without much gear. Like that's the thing. Like in terms of defense at least, and that does like decent damage. Doesn't need to do like crazy damage, but
there's also the handicap, at least for us, because we are on CT, right? So we're used to just know everything, and we actually have not been in the boss race. Kind of as we were offered to from Maxroll and stuff, but we chose basically not to because we got offered a bit late and we were working on the guides, and it was like, you know what? Let's just go in and have some fun too, you know. And I think the depths are very keen on the boss being secretive, so in order, I mean, it's gonna be hard not to spoil it if you know it, even if you try to, right? So we're going in blind, so it's kind of hard to pick a build because you don't know what you're gonna need. Like, what if the boss has like a like degen, disables degen or disables ward or some shit, you know? And you're like, oh, my build.
to be honest, even the Harbingers, I didn't test them. Like, I looked at them, but I didn't really like properly test them. So it's gonna be like a discovery for me as well.
Yeah, people are gonna die to Harbingers. It's my guess, but we'll see. All right, and you, Vision?
Well, we were talking about hosting a boss kill race on Maxroll, and so I'm thinking about I'm gonna start hardcore. I'm gonna play Roid Mage again. I have some new tech for it, where I feel like it can go a little bit quicker, and it's just a build that I'm comfortable on, even if it's not like super meta OP. I know I can do pretty well with it and kind of like push that build specifically to its limits.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, what you're saying, even if you're not a hardcore player, since you can just go straight to softcore after dying, going for the hardcore experience early on the patch, there's literally no downside, right? So might as well just try. And if you weren't planning to delete your character, you go in. Who knows? Maybe you win just because everyone dies because everyone's bad, right? Like D4.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Back when we used to do tournaments, I know a lot of people would play hardcore for the first time and had a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
With it, so I think it's definitely worth testing it out just to feel like a different play style. You think about things in a different way.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I'm for sure gonna go hardcore solo. I'm kind of like in the same boat as Volka, where like I'm gonna go to sleep. Right, we have a lot of fatigue already from like getting ready for the patch. In the behind the scenes, so it's not like we're starting the patch fresh with 3 days of perfect sleep. It's gonna be quite the opposite, right? So I'm definitely gonna go to sleep, and I'm gonna wake up and hope people have died, and I can also tell that to my viewers. So if I don't win, I just say, oh, it's just because I went to sleep because I was tired from Maxroll, and no one calls me bad. So it's kind of like a perfect strategy. If you win, you're Giga Chat, and if you don't win, you just, hey, he's busy with Maxroll, he didn't try. So I basically planned a perfect, scheme to portray myself as a god gamer while doing absolutely nothing. It's basically, it's perfect, basically. And if I die, hey, clips in the chat, it is what it is. I just blame it on people playing meta like always. But yeah, I'm gonna play hardcore, especially with all the testing we do now for Maxroll and stuff, because the game skill ceiling has raised quite a bit. I feel like when I'm testing and when I'm playing, playing offline and like testing in city, like the game kind of like becomes more of like a sandbox and theory crafting playground. So when the patch drops, I already got that experience previously on city, right? So I'm going into hardcore more for that thrill and that let's see if I can actually replicate this, with the hardcore. I just think it's more fun to watch too. So it's for the stream too, and it's fun. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing. And I actually don't know what to start, so...
The thing, Liz, is that we also, don't get to practice,
Yeah, at all.
Let's say, imagine I had access to CT, but I wasn't part of Maxroll. Bro, I would, min-max the shit out of the game, and I would actually come into the patch, fully prepare, fully min-max the gear, the loot filter, everything. Bro, I don't even have a loot filter. I don't know exactly how to level the build. I don't know what I need for the build exactly in terms of killing the boss.
Basically, now that the data is out and that the patch notes are out, basically, all of us, including myself, have to spend the rest of the weekend and until Friday updating everything so builds are ready, because we just got the data right. So even though we have a lot of things pre-planned, it's a lot of time consuming. So yeah, no time to practice at all. Maybe last day do a couple runs and try, but at the same time, not knowing what to start, it's also a great I think it speaks greatly about the patch now. Because before it would be like, oh, your start Shadow Daggers, no.
Yeah.
You don't even, if you want to win, you just go Shadow Daggers, right? Or whatever. And now the fact that, well, okay, you could go Shadow Daggers, but would you be tanky enough for the pinnacles? Who knows? What if they just one-shot you,
in hardcore, the dynamic is completely different, because in softcore, you can just retry the boss again and again and again and again. It's just a matter of reaching the boss and having a build that can technically kill the boss.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be 100%.
And if you die, you just go in again, right? But in hardcore, you have to plan on, okay, what's going to be consistent?
Bro, exactly.
Without being slow and without being gear dependent. Because, for example, I think one of the best builds of the patch, based on just reading, right, is going to be Glacier. But Glacier, I mean, it needs 1k mana, it needs wrong wrap, it needs all of these things. It's do I want to start with that? And then you have things like Torment, where, okay, Torment, it's going to be incredible early game, but now Torment itself kind of looks like it's going to lack single target. So how is that transition to Empowered going to feel?
Might be a bit rough.
Yeah, I'm very scared of choosing a build, going to Empowered and just getting fucked, right? Especially because we just zoom to Empower, so.
Yeah. Nowadays, compared to before 1.0, when I was doing run to Empowered, it was fine. You could rush without much gear and stuff, and ignore a lot of stuff. But now that you go to Empowered much faster, they also redone like reworked a lot of the monsters that are a lot more dangerous than before. You have more density, so it's like you get less gear as well because you go faster.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like
you go into the first timeline and you get slammed by a golem that before only spawned in the 7th timeline, right? Like that, or like snakes or whatever. That didn't happen before, right? And again, remember everyone in chat who's planning on hardcore. Remember that in order to unlock Empowered, you have to defeat the Harbinger. And is it gonna be gear checky? Is it gonna be rippy compared to Empowered bosses? Well, we're gonna find out on Tuesday. But a smiley face, basically. Yeah, I don't know. Well, do you guys want to add anything before we say bye? Hello?
Hello?
You guys want to say something before we finish?
I mean,
No.
no.
Well, they can expect more information on our boss kill race soon.
Absolutely.
We're kind of just like working out a few of the background details, and then we'll have a news post up detailing that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
hope you guys have fun with the patch. I'm excited for it. A lot of theory crafting opportunities, which is always fun.
Insane. All the guys are gonna stream on Twitch in their channels, so make sure you follow them and you watch them and you give some support on 1.1. And yeah, thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Vision. Thank you, Terek. Thank you, Volka. And thanks, Maxroll, for organizing us and yes, being great. And yeah, thank you, chat, for listening. And future YouTube audience, play melee or no balls, basically.
Dude, I'm gonna play melee. That's my build.
Play multi-strike. That's the
Dude,
best.
I'm so tempted to starting melee, just so...
Me too. Me too.
The adrenaline of fighting the boss in melee, like holy...
Bro.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, thank you guys for watching, and bye-bye.